All right. All right. Whew. All right. Now we got so now we got that. Of course, today's wedding second shooting training. If you got any questions in regards to this, any like this is not like a formal training. This is more so a discussion on wedding second shooting. So if you got a question at any point, like feel free to just stop me and say, RJ, hey, I do got a question, or I got some feedback into it. So yeah, let's get into it. If you don't know who the Precarious Collective is, um, our primary purpose is to basically creatively teach, like via peer-to-peer training, where our goal is to creatively teach each other, so that we can quickly grasp and implement different strategies for success, and not only photography, but the industry in general. Starting right here. I made this. I call this slide the Know Your Role slide. The number one thing in second shooting is to remember. It's really not about you. Right? It's your number one job. Your number one job is to serve at the end of the day. Like, and I think we try to ignore that term a lot, but at the end of the day, like, it's very key to kind of remove like what you want to creatively do. I remember that you're second shooting for second shoot for someone. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Like so sometimes the main shooter might be like, "Hey, just do you," and that's that's perfectly fine. But make sure that that primary shooter gives you the leeway on that. But beyond that, if they have a shot list that they want you to follow, they have a specific style, you make sure that you remember that your job is to serve. Serving is not a bad word. It is not. It is not a negative a word that's negative. Um, there's a lot of growing all of us can do when we just actually just serve. A few years back, I was shooting an event for Kelly, and she said, "RJ, I don't want all them crazy angles that you try to do, blah 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 blah." And like, truth be told, like it was one of the things of, hey, if you want if you want to do that job right, and get paid for that job, you need to make sure that you humble yourself and just serve. Number two thing is, if something happens, you have to remember. And Myron taught me this years ago. Is that if something happens to the main shooter, guess what? You then become the main shooter, the primary shooter at that point. If for some odd reason that main shooter can't perform, it's your job to pretty much take on their mentality and make sure you find that shot list and go ham as the primary shooter. And sometimes people see the extra money and say, you know what, yeah, I'm just gonna get some of the second shooter bread, but not. Always keep in mind that, like, if something happens, yeah, it's not about extra money at that point. You're the number one shooter for that day. And once again, to that number 3 point, is your creativity is valued, but the fundamentals and ensuring safety during the day is important for the second shooter to remember. Sometimes, like sometimes when people come and shoot, sometimes they feel as though they have to match what I'm doing. And truth be told, like if you see something creative that I do, you don't have to be super creative. I just need you to get those fundamental shots. I just need you to make sure you get, like, the lighting is on point. Like that right there is key. Like get those fundamental shots. Get those details. But we're gonna cover details in a few. Once again, I covered this earlier. The purpose of second shooting isn't solely for just extra money. It's for gaining experience in certain cases and adding strategic tools to your toolbox. I mean, some people was trying to trying to make money, but especially for the younger photographers or those that are young to wedding photography in general, you need to make like when you go second shooting, like it's all right to go just to and learn new pieces. A lot of times it's not solely about it's not really about it. Hold on one second, guys. Let me see. Oops, sorry. Let me see. Hold on.
Why did the cookie go to the hospital?
Whose phone is that?
Kareem, can you mute, please?
No, because it's off premise.
Let me see. I got you. I'm gonna see if I can find it.
Write it down.
All right, there we go. And the church said amen. There we go. And hold on, let me go right back to the slides. But you like the money's going to come, guys. But when you're shooting these weddings, the goal is to actually learn the ins and outs of the wedding, to learn some new methods or whatever. In the case that if something breaks, if something messes up, learning new workarounds or whatever. All that comes with experience. If I'm just be honest with you, like if I'm paying you $75 to $200 an hour for the second shoot, truth be told, I mean there really shouldn't be a whole lot of questions, because $75 to $200 an hour says that I know how to make things happen. Like I don't got to tap you on the shoulder and ask questions a ton of times or whatever. Like I know the ins and outs of a wedding, blah 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 blah. I'm gonna get into this bridal prep piece, and feel free to chime in at any point if you had a question or you say, RJ, hey, I want to add a little piece. Like, feel free to step in.
RJ, hey, it's Danny. I do have a question. How are you?
Good, yourself?
I'm good. I do have a question. If we could go back a little bit, when you were talking about becoming the main shooter if something happens to the if you're in the second shooter role and something happens to the main shooter, then you become the main shooter. So if you're an experienced, I just want clarification. If you're an experienced second shooter, and I know that you said that the money can come later, but if you're stepping into the main shooter role, should you not be compensated for having to step into that role at the time if something happens to the main shooter? Because you are now the main shooter. Just wanted some clarification around that.
Yeah, I think that'd probably be a conversation between the primary shooter and the second shooter. But I know for me, well, I probably throw a little extra in the bag, yeah. But at the same time, it's just when you accept that second shooter role, it's one of the things of it is what it is. That's pretty much what you sign up for. If called upon, you just it's one of the things, like certain people on certain jobs act as managers, but they don't get that managerial pay all the time. So I don't know if that answers the question or not.
Can I piggyback on that, RJ?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I think that's an actual valid point that she's making. But to your point, RJ, yes, maybe a little bit more, compensation would be fitting in that situation. But at the end of the day, you didn't find the wedding. You're probably not doing any of the edits or communication with the bride and groom. So it's still, you're taking on that role for that day, but there's still a job to be done after the fact, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely clear on that. I'm just, and certainly you wouldn't have that conversation with the main shooter at the wedding. Like I'm just saying that if you have to step up to do extra or take on the
Yeah.
entire role if they have to leave in an emergency or whatever. But you're
Yeah.
now in the role of having to run the rest of the wedding and shoot the rest of the wedding
Right.
and making sure the shots on that shot list are taken care of. I would think
Mhm.
that, and I think that's really on the
so-
main photographer to
Mhm.
actually step up and say, hey, I appreciate you taking on this role, and here it is, here's something
Right.
extra. I just don't necessarily agree with not compensating a a photographer, a second shooter, an experienced second shooter at all. Not just saying that, that's just part of the role. I mean, if you're really taking on the role of a first shooter in their absence, then I just think that there should be some compensation. But that was just
So
a
that
question.
might be
some
something that
clarification.
you should put in. That might be something that you put in your second shooter agreement, because you can come to the table with your own agreement too.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
that might be a really good thing to put, like a clause in your contract. I don't think that's unreasonable at all.
I
Mhm.
think there's chime in on that though. I think if you're an experienced second shooter though, usually your second shooter pay is gonna reflect that though, right? So if you have to step in, like where sometimes that's already compensated for in the beginning, right? Because you are an experienced second shooter. So yeah, your rate's gonna be a little different.
That's
but
a fair.
like
Yeah, that's a
Kelly
fair.
said though,
That's
you
fair.
can definitely bring your own agreement to the table. I mean, I know within this community, like we kind of take care of each other, right? So if you have to do
Yeah.
more, like, yeah, we're gonna take care of you. At the same time, too, sometimes it's like, hey, you might be that go-to second shooter for a person, like
Mhm.
all the time. You know what I mean? And then also too, if you're there to learn new skills, sometimes you have access to clients or things that you would never usually have access to. So there's a lot of factors in that, but usually your pay is based off your experience. They're gonna compensate for that in the beginning, just in case you have to step in to take the lead role. But also too, like RJ said, when you step into a second shooter, sometimes you might have to take the lead, right? And things happen sometimes. So I think that's always a case by case basis. Could it be they have to leave? Yeah, I would expect definitely, because you're going to be there by yourself. Let's just say someone
Mhm.
rolls their ankle and they can't move around as much as you can, right? They're still there with you, but they just can't move the same way, right? So I think it's a case by case basis.
Yeah, yeah.
Got it.
I mean, that's definitely a good question though. Like, definitely a great question. I'll give me 1 second. Hold on. Here we go.
While you
Yeah,
checking on that,
Thanks for your input, guys.
while you checking on that or whatever you're doing right now, RJ, I would just add that sometimes when we second shoot, we also second shoot as primaries for people too, right? So they hire you to be a primary shooter and they hire second shooters. So I think in the event that you have to step in and be a primary, that there should be some type of compensation, because primaries get paid differently than second shooters when you're covering
Yeah.
a wedding for somebody. But like, again, like everybody said, that may be something that's talked about beforehand or after the fact in case of an emergency. But I think that there should be some type of compensation.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, I can't disagree, but I guess that'd be one of the things. I mean, and they're just brainstorming off the top. I would just probably say, maybe you won't get paid you probably don't get paid second shooter pay, but you get paid associate shooting pay instead, or something like that. Like,
Right. That's what I'm
an association. Yeah. I know there's a part that Kelly probably will enjoy right here. Attire. When you show up for that wedding. Depending on who you shoot with, this is a whole conversation by itself. But depending on who you shoot with, it can vary. I used to shoot with Chris Smith. A lot of people here know Chris Smith. And truth be told, if Chris Smith came to a wedding and if it was an Indian wedding, guess what? Chris Smith is going to show up with Indian attire on. If he's shooting an African wedding, he's going to show up with African attire on. I mean, he was just ready. I mean, me personally, I liked it. I was like, you know what? I'll wear all black, but bro, you can go ahead and just wear your attire. But I mean, hey, this is a universal, a universal line. Hey, black don't crack. Hey, they put on that all black. Worse gonna worse. Just get you a pair of comfortable shoes. Some people like wearing hard bottoms. I don't see how people wearing hard bottoms all day long for a wedding, but I mean, I would recommend getting getting something with a nice rubber sole. Of course, if y'all haven't checked out the Cole Haan 0 grams, hey, they are.
Yes, sir. All day, every day.
Oh, I'm trying to tell you that. So just don't try to go. Just don't try to do a wedding with a pair of Crocs on. I mean, especially if they're not in sports mode. Like just leave the Crocs home until for the car once you get in the car. Let me see. All right, so there's four different there's four different ways. Like when I deliver my galleries, me personally. This is me. Everybody else might be different, but I do like for my second shooters. If I say, hey, just Google Drive me or Dropbox the links to me, I do like my stuff to be categorized, just so I know where I need to stash stuff from. So and this is where I separate it. I do wedding prep, wedding ceremony, portraits, and reception. That's just how I organize. I like my galleries organized. And if I don't get the SD card immediately from you, then I do ask that you do categorize your files like this. Equipment baseline. Of course, okay.
Oh, is it like a standard practice for you to give the SD card to the primary or through like a gallery delivery system?
So some people do it different ways. Some people like to give their second shooter SD card for them to use for the wedding. But usually, what I like to do is I like to let the second shooter bring their own memory card, and I just bring my laptop and I just collect the file. I just pretty much copy the files while I'm right there. That's usually how I do it. Kelly, Raj, chime in.
So yeah,
Or
also talk to your main shooter about whether or not they're going to require you to bring your own card or not. I've shot with plenty of people who they'll bring their card or they'll ask me to provide a card for them. But I prefer that you bring your own card and I just grab the files from you. But it's definitely a conversation that needs to be had, because some photographers don't want you to keep those images. So you just really need to have that conversation up front about the card piece.
Yeah, and I mean, and truth be told, it's kind of, to me, it's going to be kind of hard doing that, going down the road because only because of that. With the new what was it? The new CFA cards or whatever. What I don't know what you.
CF Express Type B, the CF Express Type B cards.
I mean, I would assume on first shooters it would just become. I would assume that it would become expensive after a while if y'all did that. So, I mean, Kelly, if you require, do you get your shots afterwards, or do you get it off, or do you give them a card?
Yeah, afterwards. I don't be giving nobody no cards. Bring your own cards. Because some people don't shoot. You know what I mean? Like some people don't have the same type of cards I have. Like you shoot Sony. Like I don't have Sony cards. So I don't even know what y'all use for that. So anyway, bring your own cards if you're shooting for me.
Yep. This is usually my equipment baseline that I like to recommend that second shooters do have. This right here kind of It kind of covers the whole it covers the whole gamut a little bit. So I usually ask people to bring two bodies, two lenses. I'm not even usually picky on the lens as long as it performs correctly and that joint is in focus. Usually, the only time I have issues with it is if somebody is using a Nikon camera. But I asked that they usually bring one or more speed lights, huh?
Here you go, start the show.
I usually do ask that the shooters bring a speed light. Don't get me wrong, I have no problem with the Canon and the Nikon and the Sony speed lights, but because it's so widely used in the community, I usually do ask that the shooters do have like a up-to-date like Godox or Flashpoint flash to use at the weddings. I don't usually play. I try to avoid playing the game with Newer because I don't know how Newer works with Flashpoint and Godox, but I know Godox and Flashpoint pretty much works across the board. Once again, we're back on the memory card situation. Please make sure you bring have them blank memory cards ready, right? Like me personally, I usually bring between 64 gig cards and 128 gig cards. Don't get me wrong, I always carry extras, but I do recommend you carry at least four memory cards in total. Definitely make sure you always got some extra charged up batteries. At least two charged up additional batteries. And also something that is that I use a lot because I don't on the wedding day I don't care I don't carry all them a whole lot of soft boxes. The biggest thing I carry light wise is maybe an umbrella. But for the most part I'm using the Magmod bag sphere as a primary shooter and a second shooter. So yeah. Camera settings. These are some camera settings that are key. And I forgot. I did forget one, but I'm gonna add that onto the slide in a few. But I ask that you do please shoot and roll. A lot of times when people might be like, "Hey man, I need your second shoot." Some cats they'll buy a whole new camera. Be like, "Man, I know I'm about to get some heat." Blah blah blah. They buy a whole new camera, and the problem with that is that the camera just comes ready to shoot in JPEG usually. So if you can make sure that that your camera is shooting in RAW, NEF, what is it? NEF. What is Canon's RAW files? Is it just RAW?
I think it's AR1 or something like that.
I know for Sony it's ARW. But please make sure you're shooting in RAW. Also, something that I notice a lot of people don't know this and they don't really people just don't know. But I do ask that you shoot in like AFC, which means that like if you choose a spot to focus, if that subject shifts a little bit, your camera automatically be like, you know what, that's what they're tracking. That whatever that focus point is, we're going to continue to focus on it until you press down all the way for the click. It's I know for Sony it's AFC. I believe for Canon it's AI Servo. I don't know what it is for Nikon, but yeah, definitely try to remember that piece. Shutter speeds. As far as shutter speeds, I usually request that you to make sure that shutter speed is like 1/160, or higher. Just so I can make sure everything is kind of in focus and not shaky. Ain't nothing worse than looking at a shot and be like, that thing is fire. But then you get on your computer and realize there was a little too much shaking. It's not as in focus as you thought it was going to be. Also, I do request. I don't know if anybody else requests, but I usually I don't play that. I'm gonna try to guess the Kelvin or whatever. Just go ahead throw that joker in AWB, and so that way, and I'll try to figure out whether or not that white balance works for me or not in post. All right, the bridal prep. Me personally, I don't really do this, but I know that if you plan on getting published, this right here is definitely something you should consider getting. We listed a couple of pieces that you should have in your bridal box for bridal prep when it comes to shooting details with rings and the Val books and especially if, I don't know if I don't know if a lot of y'all shot African weddings before, but usually there's quite a few details because they usually go all out and they buy just about everything you can think of when it comes to like expensive watches, rings, bracelets, necklaces, and like you want to make sure that you want to make sure that you capture all that stuff. But this stuff right here in the bridal box is what is used to kind of like either make it stand out a little bit more, or it kind of just accents it a little bit. Kelly, do you have anything to add on the bridal box?
No, I think this looks like it covers everything. I've also been adding not necessarily a first aid kit to mine, but something similar with like hair ties and bobby pins and things that a bride might need that she may not have. And I even put like perfume bottles in my bridal box, because sometimes you'll get to a bridal suite and a bride might have some Victoria's Secret love spell or something in there, and it's just not. It's not going to go with the vibe. So sometimes I might add in a luxury perfume just to like have for the photos. And I always let the bride know in a nice way, I'm gonna add this. And they're usually grateful. They're not like,
Yeah. Yep.
Just think, really, you have to think outside the box. Like if it were me, like put yourself in the mind of the bride. If it were me, what would I want on my wedding day? And I usually, you think of ideas that way.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Kelly, I'm gonna let you. Okay.
I was gonna say, as a second shooter, we should be bringing this.
So I'm glad you brought that up. So historically for me, the last two people that shot for me, I actually gave them their own bridal box. So I made that investment. But every main shooter is not going to do that. So I would encourage you to make your own bridal box and bring it with you. So when I second shoot, I still second shoot, and I've been shooting weddings for years. I still second shoot because it's fun. I love second shooting. And I bring my own box like everywhere. Like it does not leave my car.
Thank you.
Yep. Because because there's such thing as people just hiring certain people just to come shoot details too. I mean, that's definitely a real thing. Kelly, I'm gonna let you cover this next slide. Well, the next few slides, because they're actually your slides actually. So here we go. Oops.
Oh, flat lays. Okay. Okay, so I don't remember doing this, but okay. So for flat lays, I do try to use only natural light, just because it gives a softer light as opposed to using like a street light or like artificial lighting. So I try to get as close to like a window, or even sometimes I'll go outside and shoot somewhere if there isn't like any place in the venue to shoot. I do have, I'll use a canvas board, or recently I've been using a marble roll. And I think I have some pictures that maybe I can share with the group at a later time. But I carry all of that is like stays in my car, so I don't forget it. Let's see. Oh, so in short, I'm gonna sum it up like this. So in short, all I do for flat lays, sometimes I will like I have a gallery in my phone of just like flat lays and like placements of items that now I can do it like without having to look at it. But like when I was first starting out with flat lays and like mastering it, I would just use those photos and do it exactly the way the photos were in my phone. But you can research different flat lays, different weddings, look at Trinae Forbes, look at Chip Dizard, look at look at Terry's work. Who else does flat lays, RJ? Real good.
Sheena does flat lays real good too.
Sheena, oh heck yes, Sheena is on right now, I think. So study our work if you like are struggling. Of course, you can reach out to us too. But yeah, Sheena does really good flat lays too.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Sheena. Usually for flat lays, I'll start out with a like a 24 to 70 or 35, something wide, just so that I can get the whole picture, and then I'll use a macro like a 60 mil or a 105 to shoot like really close up shots of the rings. And that's it. That's basically it on that. Any questions on that?
Should you have anything to add on in regards to flat lays?
I agree with that 50, the 50 mil. I usually use the 50 millimeter to do like the whole picture shot. And then you kind of want to take close up of the individual elements on the flat lay board. That's the lazy way to do it, so you don't have to move the stuff around. And of course, ring shots is what I use my 100 millimeter for.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I use it for too. But also, well, Sheena, I do move the stuff around. I do maybe like 3 to 4 different looks.
No, I do too. I just was trying to give them lazy way, but yes. So I take pictures of everything individually after I take the whole picture. But I also have been taking like close up. It depends. If I'm pressed for time, then I'll kind of just zoom into the individual elements, and it adds a different look. But if I'm not pressed for time, then I kind of just like push the stuff to the side after I'm done taking the whole picture, and then I'll take individual pictures of like the ring, the shoes, the tie, all those kind of things. At least that's what I do in the second shooter for people.
And don't take too much time on flat. I mean, take your time,
30
but don't
minutes
take
is
too
what
much time.
I recommend 30
Let
minutes.
me tell you, because you know what takes up most of my time? That ring balancing. I still have trouble with that.
I'm actually pretty good
you want
at
to
it.
see me sweat? You want to see me sweat up under my arms? Give me 3 rings to balance.
Yeah, I mean, I keep putty. If it helps, put putty in your kit, but I've never had to use putty, but I do have some.
I hate putty. It never works for me.
Yeah, that's why I've never tried.
You could also use the wax. Like I don't know if y'all had braces before or not, but the wax that people use for their braces and stuff like that. That works.
The stuff that sticks on the pamphlet.
Huh? Yeah.
The clear stuff that
like
sticks on the pamphlet. Like when your credit card is delivered. Okay.
Sheena, see if you can. Can I get that on? Can we get that on Amazon?
We can get it at Walmart.
Walmart. Okay. Somebody send me a picture of it.
I got you.
I find the balancing is actually pretty challenging if you have a huge groom's ring. Like if his ring is huge compared to her,
it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
If you're looking for like if you don't want to spend the money on a flat lay mat, I do recommend y'all go to Hobby Lobby. Especially when they got the material on sale or whatever. Just go to Hobby Lobby, tell them you want a yard of fabric. Usually they have a crushed velvet, regular velvet. What is it? Velvet? They got the silks, whatever you can imagine shooting on. But I mean, instead, I mean, if you're cheap and you ain't trying to spend no money on flat lays, I mean, just pray that the Holiday Inn or wherever you're shooting at has a glossy surface, and just use that glossy surface.
If I can add, one time, I can't remember who I was second shooting for, but most times when I'm second shooting, I'm shooting grooms, not brides details. So I use a pillowcase because the carpet was hideous at the Delta Variant Hotel. So I used a
Mm.
pillowcase, and the pillowcase had like this nice little gray textured zigzag, like it wasn't like busy, it was very fine. So I used a pillowcase. So whatever it is that makes sense, use that.
Yep. Yep.
Oh,
Not a
and
pillowcase, a
also,
cushion. Sorry.
also, let me add to the Sheena, I don't know if you do this or not, but I always turn off the ambient light in the room, meaning like any of the like yellow
Mm.
lights, you know, those
Yes,
hotels.
ma'am.
Because you can mess up your whole shot if that's not the look you're going for.
It can mess up a shot, hands down.
I try to
Yeah,
use natural light if the natural light is good. But then if not, I pop a flash on the top. But it's always better than mixing the light.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So how many second shooters shoot the bridal details? Does that happen often? Was it just for us women or what?
Yeah. I know. I mean, I know. I know it's a requirement. Well, yeah. When I go in a room, because I mean, the crazy part is nowadays they kind of know. Like, yeah, I set my shoes and my watch and everything over there. Like, it's almost a given at this point.
Yeah.
But I was asking about the actual bride. Details. Yeah, because most times I do groom stuff. Just curious. And then Nicole brought up an interesting point. She says she likes to ask them to have their invitations ahead of time. Sometimes when I'm asked to shoot bridal details, there are no invitations. The pandemic, a lot of people didn't have. But for those that do, they usually don't bring them. I've actually taken it a step further, and I saw somewhere on YouTube have them mail them to your house. Nobody ever does, but I've tried it once, and it might have worked. Just so you can
Sheena,
bring them.
I have wax seals and like multi-layered envelopes in my box, and that sometimes works when they don't have invitations. So it's a nice look.
Yeah. The wax seals is definitely a nice look. Give me 1 second.
I was typing this a lot real quick. I was just going to throw in there. I think all seconds probably it'll benefit to know how to shoot bride and groom, because depending on the dynamics of the wedding party, sometimes if you're a female, and you're shooting with a male lead, sometimes depending on the couple, they may want that female to go in there with the bride and vice versa. Sometimes I think it's best to just know how to do both.
Absolutely. And you're absolutely correct.
Yep. Let's see here. Usually if I shoot a flat lay of any sort, usually I try to bump that f-stop up a little bit. Try to increase my aperture, just so I can ensure that at least the majority of it is in focus. Kelly and Sheena, I don't know, do y'all usually go higher than that or no?
Never higher than that. I don't shoot higher than that usually, period. But I would say stylistically it depends, because I actually don't mind bokeh. Like, I don't mind some stuff to be out of focus. It just depends.
Depends on what you're shooting at the time. Yeah, I agree.
If you're light and airy, that won't fly. You gotta, like, some stuff is gonna be out of focus intentionally. So it just really depends on the style.
Yep.
Rings, I would take it up a little bit. I wouldn't shoot rings wide open. And focus on the prongs.
You said the prong and not the diamond?
Focus on the prong of the ring, because focus falls backwards. So if the prong is in focus, the whole ring is kind of in focus, as opposed to you shooting a diamond, the prong is all out of focus and it looks a little different.
Yep. She's right. That's good, Sheena.
Oh, that's good.
That's very good.
Yeah. That's all right. You go ahead, man. Okay, let me see. These are just some flat lay examples that Kelly did. I don't know if you can see it on that boarding pad, but that's that wax seal that she was talking about a while ago. And if you notice in these shots, she doesn't have the whole entire shoe in the shot. It's just like that. The part that matters the most, she kind of has it in there. Excuse me. That on the right side, I don't know if you can see that burgundy material. You can get that same crushed velvet right in Hobby Lobby. Get you a yard of it for $12.99. Probably
was a
cheaper than that.
sofa.
Oh, that's nice. Look
Well,
at
so-
that burgundy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a sofa
very
or like a
pretty.
settee they had in the bridal suite.
Oh wow! Oh wow!
Mm.
That blended good.
Told y'all, sofa
Yeah.
cushion.
I don't know why I get so irritated when people have weddings and they decide to wear sneakers instead of dress shoes.
Listen, okay,
Child.
help us, Lord.
Like people pay. When people have weddings, they pay for they pay for a lot of stuff, and sometimes you really got to be you really got to pay attention because some, like say for instance the other day the groom had customized cufflinks with his with him and his future him and his wife's initials or whatever. So you, like paying attention to that kind of stuff, or if they're in a fraternity or a sorority, they might have a pen that has like the Kappa or the AKA or the Q emblem somewhere. Like just be mindful and just try to catch that stuff because sometimes they'll even forget or just think they're representing whoever. So you definitely want to make sure that you look for that kind of stuff. There right there, another shot. If you notice Kelly, make sure that she incorporated some she included some stationery in this one right here, with the tips of the shoes, and of course the diamond being the focal point. I'm gonna jump to this real quick. I don't know if this is out of order or not, but either which way, I'm going to. Matter of fact, let me cover this real quick before I go to here. I'm gonna show this. Oops, my bad, guys. Sorry about that. So the other day, me and Bernard did a wedding at the MGM, and the newest thing that I got to add, that I do have to add to the slide deck is the importance of the importance of making sure you capture a little bit of video, whether or not it's from your phone or whether or not it's from your camera or whatever. Like you have to make sure that you capture details capture details in video as well. So but I'll show this real quick just to let me see, where is it at? I'm gonna find this real quick, guys. Give me 1 second. Where's it at? All right, here we go. Let me show my screen. Oops.
So years ago, so it's all about the bracelet. So years ago, I was in the Bahamas, got into some wild shit, after we made it on the trip, and I had a gold bracelet that I ended up losing. And I had to tuck and roll out of a car. It came out my pocket. It was gone. I got the money back for the bracelet, but because I had naked wrists, I can't stand having naked wrists. And so the next day, I went and bought this bracelet. Lo and behold, that happened on Sunday. On Monday's the first day I saw Lindsay in the Bahamas in a gorgeous blue dress, and my entire temperament composure changed. And I knew that was the girl I was gonna marry. And so I gotta make sure it's seen for the wedding day.
Yeah.
Nice wrist candy all the way to go. Love you, Lindsay.
So I mean, and that was kind of to show the importance of making sure you capture them details, as well as make sure you capture that you capture video. once I kind of like it was to me, I was like, who would just wear a bracelet like that? And that's the other part, making sure that you communicate with the groom, or communicate with the bride or whoever, so you can get some answers to some questions, like so that you can kind of build your own storyline while you following the wedding. Because I kept on seeing that red and black bracelet, and I was like why is that? Why is he wearing that bracelet rather than just wearing his jewelry? And I was like, you know what? It actually had meaning. So when they did their first touch, one of the things I made sure I honed in on was making sure that when he's holding that bride's hand, that I captured at least a corner of that red bracelet in the picture or whatever, because that red and black bracelet had some type of meaning. Now let me.
Can I ask a question
Sorry,
about
I
something
don't-
like that?
Kelly, what you say, Kelly?
Yeah, no, just real quick. I don't know if you saw, but Willie asked if you were going to be covering anything on second shooting, videography, second shooting. So if anybody had any offerings on that, whenever you get a chance.
I also had another question similar to that.
I'm sorry, can you say it again?
My question was, do you ask those kind of questions in a form ahead of time, or do you expect us to be asking that kind of question? I don't want to be a nuisance if I'm second shooting and I'm like, oh, what's that? What's this? What's that? Will there be a way to kind of gather that information either from the first shooter, like in a questionnaire, or is that just like something stand out, ask about it?
So I mean, so for me, it's I try to have candid conversations. Like it's not a matter of me saying like just walking up to him and saying, hey bro, like tell me all the important things to you. No, it's like, bro, hey bro, I seen that red bracelet on your wrist, bro. And like is it something about that? Is it something about that bracelet or whatever? And like and I'll leave it up to them to do the talking. And sooner or later, like the story will unveil its own self. Now the only part is sometimes when you ask certain questions, you just be surprised when you get some weird answers sometimes. But beyond that, like just candid conversation is enough.
If I could just chime in.
Good, Shane.
What I was going to say to that, so what you're referring to, yes, that stuff kind of unfolds organically, but yeah, like it is the primary job to get the main questions, like the concerns and stuff from the client ahead of time. So yes, as a second shooter, it would be cool if you should, a couple days before the wedding, you say, is there anything special that I need to know about? No, maybe they didn't ask their client, they don't know. So asking questions will kind of help with that when you get on the scene, but. As long as you ask the primary shooter, what are your expectations? Like, what should I know before I get there? Then you've done your job as a second shooter. And then from there, you just had to keep your eyes and ears open.
And also as a second shooter too, I do recommend that I do recommend that you try to get to the wedding a little bit ahead of time, because one thing that I do learn sometimes is that if you're late and you're trying to find your rhythm late, it's hard to slow down and find your rhythm. So it's better for you to get there early and find the rhythm of things, especially as a second shooter, because sometimes as second shooters we walk into stuff kind of blind sometimes. So yeah, let me see. All right, so I shot a wedding a few months back, or last year, and I wasn't late to the wedding, but I was kind of late to the wedding, like maybe like 5 or 10 minutes late to the pre the wedding prep stuff. But I ran in, tried to hurry up and shoot the bride stuff. But then I ran downstairs, whatever I was trying to catch up. To where I was supposed to already be at in my mind. And it just really threw me off guard for the rest of the day because I went down to the groom's suite. And when I went to the groom's suite and knocked on his door, and I mean, for some it might not throw him off, but like the groom answered the door in a pair of thongs, and it's like, bro, like, you know what? I'm thrown off for the day. Like I'm gonna come back, bro. I'm gonna come. And at that point, it was like, all right, let me go ahead and slow down, and like I really need to go ahead and get my rhythm because like for this thing to really work for the day, like I really got to really get my rhythm in check for real. So, yeah. Let me see. I'm gonna pull up the slide deck back up. Let me put a slide deck back up. Let me see where we at. 1 second, guys. Let me see. Jocelyn says study if you've never shot with the primary shooter. Yeah. Matter of fact, if you are a second shooter and you haven't shot a whole lot of weddings, one thing I do recommend is if you get a chance, check out Judah Avenue's, especially Judah Avenue's blogs that they be putting out, because they'll throw together like a whole gallery from a wedding and put it in their blog, and like that's pretty much what I use as my wedding starting point. And I mean, because like if you're looking at portraits all day, cool, but you really need to look, like get your eyes on, you really need to get your eyes on like some wedding photos. So, get your favorite wedding photographer and see if they got a blog and follow that blog. Because I mean, it can really help you in the long run. But yeah, Jude, has everybody? I'm hoping everybody has heard of Judah Avenue, but like, has everybody heard of Judah Avenue?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
All right, because
Nope.
What?
Yeah, Nafa's a beast.
Yeah.
She doesn't do a whole lot of weddings anymore though.
No, she don't. But I be telling people a lot of times, like Nafa was like she was the stand low before stand low. Like to me, I could be wrong, but like to me, like
the way they work is pretty. I mean, it's a machine.
Like Judah Avenue might be like, don't get me wrong, Caitlin James, yeah, she's making millions, but don't get me wrong, I think with Judah Avenue systems and stuff like that, I'm pretty sure Judah's like making millions at this point, a year, especially with her new studio out in Bethesda. So, let's see. All right, types of lighting to understand. It's important that as a second shooter that you do know how to use on-camera flash, off-camera flash, and natural light. I know some people have preferences, and I know some people want to just go ahead and like pull out the soft boxes and whatnot, but nah, it's kind of important that you know how to use all three. Because you never know what kind of situation you're gonna be put in. So it's important that you know how to use on-camera flash, off-camera flash, and natural light. Like I said earlier before, with the on and off camera flash, definitely try to make sure if you don't already have it, try to make sure that you have like a Godox or a Flashpoint speed light to work with, because that's pretty much what everybody's using nowadays. Don't get me wrong, I know like Westcott is out there, I know Profoto is out there, and every camera brand has their own adjacent flash. But yeah, I mean, if you can afford it, I'm pretty sure you can find one on Adorama, B&H, used or new for pretty cheap. If you can't find one on there, definitely go to Dr. Hill's camera shop. I'm pretty sure he got one for sale too. And let me see. We just covered that. Of course, if you don't know what that flash light is, this is what it looks like. And I usually recommend that everybody get a MagSphere. I use the MagSphere mostly for like my off camera flash situations. I haven't figured it all the way out yet for the well, I don't necessarily like the look of the MagSphere on camera. But I mean, if you figure, as my second shooter, if you know how to make that thing work, hey, make that thing work. If you don't know how to use flash, and you throw that flash on your camera for the first time, the thing I recommend most is put that sucker in TTL and just find you a ceiling and bounce that light. Because that makes sure that I got a nice even spread of light coming across the subjects. Typically I do. And like, please do not, like, especially if you're second shooting for me, please don't point the flash directly at the person. If it's on your camera, please don't point that flash directly at the person, or whatever. Me personally, I don't like it. It looks a little too flashy. I don't know if other people in here do it, and it comes out great. If you got a good example, I'd be willing to entertain it. But as for me, please don't point that flash at the subject. Like try to bounce it or something. So these are the three different categories of how to use your flash. Usually the standard mode when it's on your camera. You can have it. You get your flash in standard mode, the standard mode, or the standard category. Whereas that's for the on camera. But on the other hand, if you got it on your camera and you also have some other flashes around the room on a stand, there's I don't know if you can see it, but on there is, hopefully that's zoomed in. Right there, this little Z. Can you see that? It looks like a Z, but it's an arrow. Can y'all see that? Not everybody answer at once.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Cool. If you want to switch between these modes, just hit that button a couple times, and you can go in between. You can go in between those the standard mode, master mode, and slave mode. If you want to control your other lights with your flash, you take it over to master mode. If you have another flash on a stand or something, make sure it's on slave mode, and remember what channel and group you got that flash on. Yep. So let me see here. For the off-camera flash, if there's a dance floor or whatever, and the ceilings are high enough, usually what I like to do is I like to try to do cross lighting to try to add dimension to my to my shots. But now keep in mind, if the light is on my stands, I like to point the flashes towards the middle of the dance floor, or wherever the subject is going to be most of the time. And I usually put MagSpheres on top of the flash and point it at the middle of the dance floor, just so it's kind of soft when it hits the dance floor. This right here kind of gives you an example of how I like to do it. I like to put the lighting on opposite corners of the dance floor, and of course they'll be on different groups. That way, if I decide to turn one light off or leave one light on, I could choose how I want to do that lighting. If you ever have any questions on that, just definitely hit me up offline, because I mean that conversation can definitely be an all-day conversation. But also, it's valuable to make sure that you come with your stand. Bring stands with you when you come to second shoot. Say for instance, I shot a wedding. I ain't gonna name the person. I shot a wedding, and the person brought their stands and was like, "RJ, man, you can use my stands." And truth be told, their stands ain't have no knobs on it. If you pull the one leg of the extension of the stand up, it would automatically come out or whatever. But I don't mean no harm. Like when you had these hotels, like I don't mean no harm. Like I ain't trying to pay these hotels a ridiculous amount of money to fix anything, or go through my insurance to have it fixed. So if you got some gear that you know, stands that you know work and ain't tore up, definitely bring your stuff. Also, if you're doing that cross lighting situation, make sure that your stands are like you got to make sure they up quite high. Like at least make sure they up like eight or 9 feet up in the air. Because what happens is sometimes some people can get jumping. Let me see. Hold on 1 second. People can start jumping or whatever, and when they start jumping, their head can block your light and mess your whole lighting up on important parts of the wedding. So this next part I want to get into is the actual wedding part. So if we're shooting a wedding, me personally, I say it like this: you should not be going at the same angle as the primary shooter. You should be getting a different perspective. If the primary shooter is focused on the bride, you should be focused on getting a picture of the groom crying. If like say for instance, on Saturday I was shooting with Bernard. Bernard was shooting the bride coming down the aisle from the front. My job was to go upstairs and shoot the bride's entrance walking down the aisle with kind of like an aerial perspective. Say for instance, there's a wedding that Rod just shot. Rod got this image right here with the bride smiling, but his second shooter made sure that they got the shot of the groom crying. So you always like as a secondary shooter, like don't get me wrong, your portfolio is important, but once again, don't forget you're serving the primary shooter, and you're their second set of eyes. Now, this is probably the elephant in the room, and as dangerous as it is to talk about, second shooter rates. I've heard of second shooter rates ranging starting at $20, and I've seen second shooter rates as high as $200. But the thing we have to always remember is that if whatever rate you charge, you got to make sure that you perform. You got to make sure that you over deliver at that rate. If you don't get me wrong, if you charge $50 an hour, I mean, shoot your heart out. Like if you're shooting at $75 an hour, you should definitely be shooting good. Like you should be killing it. Like you shouldn't have to tap me on my shoulder, ask any questions. Like you should know how to operate the flashes, from whether or not it's in standard mode, master mode, slave mode. Like you should actually know where I want my light to be. Like I sure had to worry about shots being in focus when I receive your SD card or put them on my hard drive. Like, hey, yeah, here we go. So this is my opinion. I'll say that this is my opinion. These are some key elements that I feel as though highlight how you should kind of determine how much you get paid as a second shooter. The number one thing is experience. Like when that bride or groom is going to cut that cake, and they ask, where do I cut at? experience should be able to tell you, hey, cut on that. Don't cut on that top layer. Go ahead, cut right there. And then do a backhanded cut or whatever, and just pull out, slice in the middle, and y'all feed each other. Like you should be able to give some kind of direction even to the bride and groom. Like the plan, like a lot of times, like if the planner's lady struggling, you should be able to say, hey, I've seen it done like this, blah 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 blah. You might want to consider this or whatever. I see the mistake right here.
Yeah, let's not talk about struggling planners.
Yeah, bro. Because hey, especially when you got those when you got those cousins that swear they know how to wedding plan, and they haven't been to a wedding in the last 5 or 6 years. I'm just telling you now, like experience. That's where experience is gonna come in. Experience is gonna come into the like if something breaks, if a piece of your equipment breaks, like I mean I can't tell you how many times like a flash might go out on me, a flash might act up, or say for instance if my camera only works on if my camera doesn't do high speed sync or TTL because I bent the pen or whatever. Like, and now I got to shoot manual. I need to know how experience should say, hey, this is how you operate that flash in manual or whatever, blah blah blah. That's experience. Also, your equipment. Hey, if I'm paying you $35 to $100 an hour as my second shooter, I don't mean no harm. Like, you shouldn't have no T3. You shouldn't have no T3i with an 18 to 55 variable aperture lens. Like you should be coming to the table with at least a prime and at least some type of prime or a 70-200 or something. Like your equipment should be on point. You should have your stands. You should like. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. If you're paying somebody $20, truth be told, you should probably have some gear for them to shoot on. So yeah. When you ask for a certain rate, make sure your portfolio supports that rate as well. Yeah, make sure your portfolio supports that rate. Also, as a second shooter, also make sure you got some type of insurance. Make sure you guys. I can't reiterate it enough. Make sure you got some type of insurance. Whether or not it's PPA, if you got to go through full frame insurance. Full frame insurance, you can get it the same day. If you need the same day insurance, you can use full frame. They'll give you same day insurance and insure you up to, I think it's either $250,000 or $500,000, something crazy like that. And they'll make sure that they got a policy for you and we'll email it to you. And also you can use that too if so happen you're shooting at a museum and they request insurance. You can definitely go on full frame and pay them off the break, and they'll email you that certificate of insurance. Excuse me, right off the back end. And also, I use this right here for just primary shooters and secondary shooters and universally. So your call, your rate and your cost, in my eyes, is determined by your portfolio, equipment, experience, insurance, and most notably your demand. What is your demand? If you so happen only picking up second shooter gigs on the Thursday before the weekend, and you do that 52 weeks a year, truth be told, I mean I gotta ask like why are you why like if your rate is $100 an hour, but you're only able to pick up gigs on the Thursday before every weekend, like what is your actual demand? Because at some point you should be having your own, having your own weddings at some point. So what is your demand? communication during the wedding is key. I cannot say this enough. I mean, please make sure you screenshot this right here, because this is like what I live by. Treat every man right so you never treat the right man wrong. Once again, treat every man right so you never treat the right man wrong. Because you never know who's in that room watching you. You never know who the richest man is, and you never know who the brokest man is. So treat every man right so you never treat the right man wrong. Communication is key. And once again, we're back on the insurance slide. These are options for insurance: PPA and full frame insurance. These are some key insurance companies.
Hey RJ.
Yep. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in with insurance. Because I was talking to my insurance company today, and they were talking about drone insurance or whatever. So this thing called Skywatch drone insurance, and you can get it like the same day. You can get it at the hourly rate. So it's called Skywatch. So that day, like if you're going somewhere, you want to shoot your drone or whatever, you can get insurance for them for that day. And if the company like sends you a letter, like you're not permitted to shoot there anymore, like the one that you posted in the group.
Yeah.
If you have that insurance, it'll get rid of that.
Oh, get out of here.
You're insured. Yep.
And it's called Skywatch.
Skywatch. Yep.
Skywatch drone.
I think it's just called Skywatch. It's just called Skywatch. Yeah. So I just wanted to chime in and let you know about that, because I was talking to my insurance company today in regards to insuring my drone. So yep.
That is dope. That is definitely dope. Appreciate that, bro.
No problem.
Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. So what happens if a second shooter card fails and the images, you can't get them, whatever? What's your process in that?
Can you run that question one more time? I'm sorry.
If a second shooter card fails and you cannot get images from that.
Man, that's tough. Anybody want to chime in?
I would add that, not to say that it's a safeguard to it, but I always shoot dual cards, no matter what. That's why I make sure my camera have that. If that does not work, or if that's not the issue, the primary photographer who wedding it is, hopefully that's in their contracts, that their couple signed, because that is something that can happen to anybody. So it would probably have to go back to the contract for me. And try to recover it if you can.
Right.
Yeah, try to recover, but that's where the insurance thing comes into play. Besides like gear, like loss of images, that's where insurance comes into a big play. If you don't have a proper like backup system, you're running into a risk of like ruining your business. So that's where that insurance comes into play, because sometimes like good recovery software or good recovery systems or company is going to cost you money, because the process is different. You can pretty much get anything back for the most part, but it's just the way they do it is going to be kind of costly. So
yep. And don't forget, so I mean, in certain instances, like I've heard of it. Now I don't know how true it is, but I mean, if you lose some of these images, like certain brides will sue you for the cost of the entire wedding.
Yep, that's why it's good to have errors and omissions.
no, yeah, but yeah, you can have errors and omissions, right? But as a professional, you still have to have certain backup processes in play. When you're dealing with digital media and stuff like that, that's what it's going to come down to, right? Do you have a proper backup system? If you don't, like, yeah, things can happen, right? Have you tried to recover it? They're going to ask those questions. So before it gets to that part, like, you won't have to go through a lot before somebody sues you, but you definitely need to make sure like you're trying to do everything you can. Like I said, but that's where the insurance comes into play, because your insurance company is going to fight harder for you than just having that contract. You know what I mean? The contract is there, but your insurance company doesn't want to pay out. So they're going to fight for you.
Yep. Let me see. You got some questions, Raj. So about recovering, if the card malfunctions, stop shooting on that card and do nothing else until right. So Brad was chiming in, and he was basically saying if the card if you do see that the card is malfunctioning, because cards will give you a hint that we gonna act a fool. So let me say this too. I am going to put this out here. For one, I do like to use my Sony Tough cards. I ain't gonna lie, I like to use those. But recently, Extreme Pro had SanDisk has the Extreme Pro cards on sale. You can get like a 64 gig joint for like $11.99. Like, but yeah. But please make sure you got enough cards, because I can tell you right now, like even though Walgreens and CVS is right around the corner, them rascals is gonna bust you like $50 for a 16 gig Bluesy. You know what I mean? If you don't know what a Bluesy is, you know what I mean? Like it's that raggedy right slow card or whatever. So like keep that in mind. Vince asked the question. Can anybody? No, sorry, Brad. I am not shooting on them pony cards. But Vince asked the question: can anyone share their second shooter website that is shared with primary for them to vet for possible gigs? If anybody has that, definitely put that out there for Vince. It's in the questions in the chat. I know I don't have it right now, but yeah, is there any other question? Matter of fact, we got Chip Dezard. Chip Dezard's been in the game for a minute. Whether or not Chip just about seen it all the way from regular weddings to the barge randomly showing up during the wedding. So Chip, you want to chime in?
Hey RJ, no, great presentation. I'm just listening in on everything, and thanks for doing this. And Will, to your point, so for me, one time, even as a primary shooter, you can mess up. I was at a wedding about a few years ago, and I was going through, going through the cameras, and you're just like, you know what? I need to delete some pictures off the camera. So first of all, I should have never done that. I ended up formatting the entire card. I was freaking out. I think Nate was with me at that wedding, but nobody know. But the good thing is I have a good poker face, so I ain't letting nobody know I deleted the entire card. But I sat there at the reception, used this program called Disc Drill, and I got everything back, like by the reception. You know what I mean? So I formatted the card. What I mean, I like by accident. I don't even know how I did that. This is years ago, but I got it right back. So things can happen, but if your secondary does that, that's a whole nother conversation you have offline. But yeah, so many things that you said are right. And one thing about with rates, I would like to say, RJ, is that people sometimes will charge according to what they think you can pay instead of charging what they're worth, because it's like a job, right? So like everybody feels like in a job they're underpaid, right? I worked as a teacher for years. I felt like I was underpaid. I knew I was underpaid, right, for the work that I did. And there's not anybody who works a 9 to 5, if you do, to think they're paid too much. Like nobody in America or the world will ever say that, right? So you just have to what you're worth. So for instance, so I know I've hired a lot of people in this room, and a lot of primary shooters will hire the same people because they have a standard of reputation with them. You know what I mean? I work with Cecil a lot because I know I can depend on him. Cecil give me his rates. He gave me his rate sheet. If Cecil tells me the price, guess what? I'm going to pay it because I know I depend on him, and I know that he's going to over deliver, and I know I don't have to tell him what to do. You know what I mean? It's like called peace of mind. But I know I have an intern like that was with me yesterday, Ty. I know I can't really depend on him. There's no shade to him, but he's learning.
Yeah.
So understand he's not Cecil. He won't be Cecil. But guess what? He will be Cecil one day. He will be Nate one day. but I'm grooming him to follow in his footsteps. So I think it's up to us, RJ, to actually lead people on the way and help people instead of just, they're just not going to turn from a caterpillar to a butterfly overnight. It's a process, right?
Yep,
So we got to help people to become Cecils, to become Nates, to become RJs and Myrons, and you know what I mean? And people like that. So for instance, like Katrina is shooting with me when I go to Detroit. So I hire people in different cities. So I have that perspective too. And then I fly people to different cities too. So I have that perspective as well. So when I give Katrina something, I'm gonna say, okay, Trina, we never shot before, but this is exactly what I want. I'm gonna go over with her. I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna put the fear of God in there, right? No, I'm playing Katrina. But I'm like, don't screw me when that's what Katrina. Because this cop come up to your city, Detroit. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying that we all have a part to play. But it's a communication. So Katrina is gonna see what I want and see what I have. It's like anybody else. Like I know what Kelly delivers, so I can hire her. Now, I don't really know what other people deliver as much because I haven't worked with them. But if they had a website, if they had reviews, so if you're trying to get in a second shooting game or just trying to get somebody like RJ, me, whoever you want to hire us, what I would do, I would create a mini site, a hidden page. I would have testimonials. I would have second shooter images, and then I would have everything right there. That's if you're trying to get in a second shooting game. If you're just trying to do it, just a one-off, because here's the thing. Like I hired Myron for a wedding. He just happened to be in St. Louis when I was in St. Louis. It was me, Brad, Nate, and Myron. And that was a great team. Brad and Nate were on video, me and Myron on things. We absolutely killed the wedding, right? But I didn't have to worry about any groom prep at all with Myron. Actually, Myron even shot some dope portraits, and I was fine with that. But I knew that Myron was not going to cost me $20 an hour. I knew when I paid Myron, I knew what I was going to get, and he over-delivered. But can I get Myron every wedding? No, that's probably the only time he will ever shoot with me in the next 2-3 years. But I understand that. RJ, you shot with me, but you never shot with me again because I understand how busy you are. There's an old saying that you can't make demands unless you're in demand. RJ, you're in demand. So for you to shoot, you gotta be free. For me to shoot for somebody, I gotta want to do it. You know what I mean? Like I want to help. You know what I mean? It's not that I'm flexing. I'm saying I'm better than nobody. I'm just saying that I gotta want to do this. So people have to check their ego. But I think Chip got money. He could pay me this. I'll slow your roll. Let's check to see what you're doing first. Forget about, it's like pricing something basing on, I think they got light source and decor, so I'm going to charge them more. No, you're not going to do that. You're going to charge what you're worth and what you do, not for what they have. Because we always councilmize coins and not really look at our own work. Sorry, I didn't mean to
got the money. Don't let them fool you.
Yeah, okay. But I'm just saying, so from that standpoint, so when I go to Detroit this fall, I'm gonna say, Katrina, this is what I want, and this is how I want it shot. But I'm gonna give her specific instructions. And if she doesn't deliver, but she will deliver. I'm so clear she will, because that's what we do. Nobody wakes up and say, hey, I want to screw somebody's wedding up. You know what I mean? Nobody wakes up. Things happen. And people get nervous. Right?
It's a good time.
You're good.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Sorry I didn't touch bases with you last week.
1 second.
Mute.
My bad, Chip. Go ahead. You good?
Yeah.
You good?
So I just want to say, I didn't mean to go on a thing, RJ, but I just want to say those few points is that remember when you're charging your rates, remember, don't go by how much the wedding is or how much you think it is. It's like, so for instance, I'm having John shoot with me. So I have a deal with John. I said, John, you can shoot with me. Shoot me in June. But the first 2 weddings, you're going to make X amount. The next wedding, if I look at your work and I feel it's good, the next wedding, I'll bump you up to a regular rate. That's a win-win on both ends, because that means he's going to be incentivized to do better because I'll pay him more. But when you're coming in, it's like, I'm not going to pay you CEO rates when you're the administrative assistant. That just doesn't work, But once I see that you're the CEO, I'm going to pay you the CEO rates. But you ain't going to make that when you're an administrative assistant. So I get that. So that's why when Cecil gives me his rates, when other people, I get it, because I know they're going to triple, and RJ, they're going to triple deliver for me. But somebody I don't know, I'm like, you talking, you may be capping, but let me just see. from Missouri, show me. You got to show us what's going on, and then, come with it. Because a lot of people will do something on social media, and then you see the galleries look halfway decent, and then you get the images. And I've been there, RJ, where there's some people, I hate to say, even in this group, that are like saying some stuff, and then you get the images, you're like, what in the world is happening? And it's not a bad thing. It's happened. This is just real talk that people want to talk about, but it's real and it's happened. And then you're stuck with the bill with the client, and you're like, what in the world? And they going off with their merry way and thinking they slayed it. But it's up to us to tell them.
Yep.
Why are you laughing, RJ?
Nah. When you said they're running around thinking they slayed it, but nah, yeah.
But it's feedback. It's feedback.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But it's good. I think we have a good group here, and I think that more people have to understand that, we all, like, I remember when I first started shooting for this guy, I remember he gave me his Canon. It was equivalent of an R5 back in the day. But it wasn't an R5, but it was a Canon. And he just told me to shoot with his camera. And I didn't know what in the world I was shooting with that expensive camera. But he made it happen. But yeah. But I think what you're saying are really good. But you want to make sure that you can back up what you're saying by your images or your video or what you have, and your follow-up and your follow-through and being on time. There were times where videographers would wear graphic tees. There was a time where videographers would come in, they do great work, but they dress in shambles. That's a no for me, dog. So it's just like, I was like, okay, your work is dope. And you're 24 years old and your edits are dope, but you come in, that just doesn't happen. So when people like Nate and Cecil and Damien and other people in the video game change the game of how it's dressed and they deliver, I'm just not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it.
Who's that? Who we got? Is it Kimmy? Hey, Kimmy.
Hey, good evening. I wanted to say something. What was Monday?
Yeah, come on.
Monday was my first time that I met Chip, and hello again. I will say this. I want to piggyback on what you were just saying. Instead of people just saying that people are running around saying that their shop is this and that, I will say this from experience from my husband. When he did go work with Chip, and he came back and Chip gave him, critique of his work and feedback, he was really happy about that. So was I, because a lot of the times you look at an image and you think it's great from what you're doing, but somebody else is doing something that you don't see. And actually you might say, oh, I think this is so awesome. But then you have this other photographer that have been again for a while, more better than you, and they hear, well, the lighting wasn't great this way, but you don't see that. You're just looking at your image and say that it is perfect. So I think a lot of it's communication. Sometimes you are giving prices off of what your customers might tell you. You might have customers like, oh, my images, I love the work that you gave me. So you might get a Kylie Crenshaw or RJ or Chip, and your customers say something, they might not like the work that me and John might have given. So I think a lot of it is just talking to someone, like Chip was saying. You don't have to be mean about it. It's just communication. And some people want to take good feedback and some people not, but just do your part in that aspect. And that's it.
That's good. That's definitely good. A matter of fact, speaking of, hold up. We got another vet that just chimed in. I know he had a wedding today too. But y'all, I'm gonna get some feedback from him in a second. If y'all don't know who Miguel is, he's Misa Studios. But I want to show y'all this. Just if you ever get a chance and if you're struggling or you have like a creative fog or something like that, I do want to show you this real quick. Because sometimes this is what I had to do. Like I go to Judah Avenue's page, her blog page, and I just pretty much check it out to see what she got, to see what she got on here. Just for some creative genius. Let let me say, 'cause I noticed I had seen something a few weeks back. Somebody was like, yeah, I got people shooting some stuff or whatever. But like try to make sure if your bride got her dress on a regular hanger, try to double check with her and see if they got see if she got another bridal hanger, a bride hanger. I should have incorporated that for some of the second shooters. But matter of fact, I'll make sure I put it in my slide deck. But make sure you get that off the plastic hanger, and try to either put it on a bride hanger or
put it in your.
Or if you're at a hotel, guess what? They got wooden hangers in the closet. So pull out one of them wooden hangers, hang that dress on a door, or just don't hang it on a sprinkler. Please do not hang it on a sprinkler, because you're asking for a catastrophe. For the groom, like, if he got a bomb jacket, I mean, if that jacket ain't a Falcone or a Stacey Adams joint, and it's like and it's like a custom jacket of some sort, like hang that jacket up. Like if you see it, like if you see it, look at this image right here. The guy got the tuxedo jacket, like hanging from some kind of a hanger in the background. Like hang that jacket up or whatever. Don't just lay it on a bed or something. Like that's no. You don't just lay it on a bed with the details or whatever. That's not the that's not the way to do it. But once again, the point of it was kind of show some of the creative genius that Judah Avenue and her team uses in their weddings, and it's right within our blog. It's not hard to find, and like it goes on. Like, let me see. Let me see. Can I go back to it right here? Yeah, and she got stuff for days. You can go back you can go back years on her stuff and just look at like how she does the details, and get some genius how she adds foreground in some of her shots, and like even down to I know I said make sure you got some primes, but I think in this gallery you're able to see how she uses wide angle lenses and stuff like that. Let me see. Like she used regular lenses on some of this stuff, but I think once you get to the reception, you'll start seeing more wide angle stuff like this right here. You'll get into the wide angle. The wider the angle, like the wide angle is going to make everything look more actionable. Like it's going to look more action worthy. Like a whole lot's going on. So, yeah, I just want to make sure I add that tidbit and show you that from Judah Avenue. Miguel, what's up with you, bro?
Hey, what's up, y'all? How's everyone doing?
Good. Miguel, do you got any second shooter recommendations?
Yeah, I would say one thing I always do is send my second photographers a list of names. A good thing is to try to remember everybody's name. You're not going to remember everyone in a bridal party, but it helps. It helps the bridesmaids and the groomsmen feel more comfortable when taking photos. So I would say try to remember as many names as you can. Another thing is with detail shots, try to use different lens if you can. It gives a different look, right? When you're doing like reception details and stuff like that, you'll see that different lens give a different look. So try to use as many lens as you can. But if you're low on time, I would usually say a 24 to 70 and a 70 to 200 is good enough to capture everything. Another thing is to always go for like safe shots before getting creative shots. Because one, you can spend about like 10 minutes trying to set up a creative shot And while you're setting up that shot, if you're not talking to bridesmaids or the bridal party, they get nervous. Time flies. The wedding planner comes and tells you that you only have 1 minute. And then you take the creative shot and it ends up not being what you wanted. And then you end up losing time. You end up missing important shots all because you were trying to get creative shots. So I always tell second shooters to just get the safe shot out of the way. And then you can experiment after.
Yep.
RJ, I don't know if Chip already went over I don't know if other photographers already went over like what I'm talking about, but that's just a couple
Yep. Yeah. I think we had covered part there. I kind of figured you was going to hit on that a little bit. So I covered a little bit of it earlier in regards to making sure that you get that safe shot before you try to get magical with it. And I told him a lot of people see what you do, but they try to match your creativity, but it's like, yo, like make sure you get that safe shot first, and then do those magical jumping shots or whatever.
Yeah, definitely shoot what you can handle. It's not really time to experiment because the wedding only happens once. Get your safe shots, and then after that, try to experiment. Another thing is also trying to crisscross doing like ceremony. So don't be at the same spot with the lead shooter. Try to get like different angles. I usually have my second shooter getting like the crowd's angle. While I'm on like the right side or the left side, they're usually trying to shoot to basically get like the crowd's angle, but we never stay on the same side. If I'm on the left or on the right, if I'm in the middle, they're at the back. So we're always like rotating and watching each other. That way we're not in each other's shots.
Yep. Matter of fact, so say for instance, all right, so I talked about this earlier, but the other day, and this ain't an edited shot, it's just one of the random shots, but the other day, like, don't get me wrong, it wasn't the funnest spot to shoot. Don't get me wrong, Bernard shot the bride coming down the aisle, but it was my job to stand all the way at the top of the building and get the shot of the bride from the back, or whatever. So like just this all like this kind of feed what Miguel was saying earlier in regards to make sure that you get a whole different perspective of what the main shooter's getting. Because I know some people try to they want to sit right beside you or sit on the opposite side of the aisle. But 9 times out of 10, well, 9.5 times out of 10, like I got enough room on my memory card to capture that bride walking down the aisle. So like if you can get a different perspective, whether or not it's capturing the parents or the in-laws or capturing that groom for me, like that's or whoever's crying, like if you can get those shots, that's golden. Also during the portrait part, after the ceremony, it's the portrait part. Don't get me wrong, like I mean, I know all of us want to get in on the portraits, but that second shooter, like if that first shooter don't give you a job, your universal job is either to capture the cocktail party, or B, hurry up and get to that reception hall before everybody else get in there and capture them details. Like everything that they spent money on in that reception hall, whether or not it's florals, whether or not it's tables, chairs, you need to capture that. Even down to the numbers that say Bon Quisha and Rashid are sitting at table number 4. Like you need to capture that. The plate settings, the patterns in the plate settings, like that is one of the key jobs of the second shooter. So when that main shooter walks in the room and asks, "Did you shoot the details?" You can shake your head and say yes. So all he has to worry about is capturing the what is it called, not the first look, the room reveal. So when the second shooter, the main shooter comes in, he only got to worry about he or she only has to worry about the room reveal when he walks in. So, right. Yep. But yeah, anybody got any? Okay, Willie, is that Willie?
Yeah, I got a question. So, are y'all having like Zoom or phone call meetings with your second shifters before you even agree to work with them with all the expectations?
I mean, I would say some people do, some people don't. Me personally, I'm not a shot list photographer. Like a lot of times, like if I'm primary, like I pretty much go with the flow. And if the bride says, hey, I do have this, I want this shot or whatever. Yeah, I get it. But me personally, I don't request shot lists at all, because you're asking for my. When a bride hires me, she's asking for my perspective on things. So I generally do capture the details, and I ask them off the rip, is there anything macro that I could possibly overlook that's gonna be in place that I need to capture. That's about it. But I know with Miguel, on the other hand, Miguel is very detail oriented. So Miguel's telling, like, even if the event planner does an event chart or whatever, Miguel will get that from the event planner. He'll redo it and make the event planner take his. So like that's how detail oriented he is. So it's a matter of who the photographer is.
Yeah, I mean, I think. Hold on, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
I think every wedding is different. So I mean, I think you should always try to have at least a meeting to just, like, even if it's like 30 minutes before the wedding, or like if you guys can get there like 15 to 30 minutes earlier, just to set expectations so that there's no like confusion later on. Like if the wedding is very detail heavy as far as like reception and stuff like that, like the second photographer should know what to expect or like what to do. Because not every wedding is the same thing.
Yep, true.
Yeah, I agree with Miguel as well, because like, for instance, let's just say, RJ, if you have a wedding that's planned outdoors and it rains and it goes indoors and there's not enough room in there for the second shooter to move around like he or she is moving outdoors. So it's kind of like a basketball game. It's like, hey, plan B, what do you do and how do you do it? And then some things you got to do, I hate to say this, but some things is kind of common sense. So we can't, as primary shooters, we can't tell a second shooter every little thing. You got to use, just some discernment to know where you go. And if not, we'll communicate. Because if I'm, as a primary shooter, if I'm up here, like worrying about where you are the whole time, if you're not in place, I'm missing shots. Like I don't have time to direct you like a football coach when I'm shooting. You understand what I'm saying? So
yep.
It's just that's counterproductive. So we have to there's an old saying that says he or she who is flexible will never been out of shape. And stuff happens. Weddings run late, things get rained out, makeup artists go over, chairs have to be moved from the MGM to the ballroom. You know what I mean? RJ, to take a you know what I mean? Yep. And then people talk. So here's another thing I gotta say about second shooters. Like if somebody asks for a card, don't give them your card. That's should not be said. But do not give them, RJ would never give his card at my wedding. He would say, Chip is a shooter, Miguel is a shooter. Here's Miguel's card. I mean, that doesn't need to be said, but it needs to be said because it's happened before where somebody was at my wedding and I found out because a bridesmaid told me. And I confronted the second shooter and, they were like, oh, I didn't do that. Right? You're lying. You did do that. I know you did that. You understand what I'm saying? So just know that primary shooters got people all around in ears and eyes. And even like RJ, your wedding this weekend, I wasn't even there, but I know 3 people that attended and 3 people who told me something about you and Bernard because I know people. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I'm just saying that people, it's not like I'm asking this question. It's just like, oh, they shot that and this is what they did. They had their light stand all over the place. Not you, RJ, but I'm just saying that.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
People talk. So, and people know other photographers. So you just got to watch everything you do. And people are just waiting for somebody to say something, unfortunately, about a second shooter or a professionalism team. Unfortunately, as African Americans, sometimes we get a harder rap. It is what it is, but especially when you're charging a premium rate. So,
Yeah. Just
my bad. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, just to add on that, ask questions only when there's downtime, like during details, before the ceremony, during dinner. But don't bombard your photographer with like questions when they're like focusing on like something else, or like when the time is crunched up.
Yep. Like
I mean, something too.
Yep, go ahead.
I was gonna add that I don't know if I would suggest for if you're gonna take on a second shooter role as well, is to make sure that you can lead a wedding as a primary in general. Like if I couldn't do my own wedding, I probably wouldn't just take a second shooter's role. I would probably go as like an associate, like just to assist or help out until I felt comfortable to shoot it myself, because I've been in a situation, and others may have too, where the primary sometimes is not even as, I ain't gonna say good as you, but I have been there where I've had a primary solely dependent on me. Like, you know how you say don't stand next to somebody? They wanted me right next to them because they wanted me to get the shot as well as they were getting the shot. And then and on another time, they had a malfunction where their camera just acted up. So you had to actually be able to shoot it. So if you're nervous or scared to have to shoot it by yourself, you may not even want to do a second shooting, because you may be put in a position to finish that wedding or shoot it. Just my thought.
Yep.
Sound like you're patient a bit more, Katrina. So remember, when you shoot for me, you don't have to stand by me, my friend. No, I'm playing.
Oh, no. I prefer not to. No, this was a particular person. I knew that they wasn't really confident in themselves. So
I know, I'm joking with you. I'm joking with you. You're fine. You're fine.
Yeah.
So for you primary shooters, would y'all hire a second shooter if you're doing this for people who do cultural weddings, like Arabic, Nigerian,
Can you repeat that again? If you could pull your mouth back off the mic just a little tad bit so we can get your enunciations. I'm sorry.
What about now?
All right, it's about the same, but go ahead. I'm trying to read it.
Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, well, good God Almighty, yes, sir.
Huh. All right,
you went from Nikon to Sony. Hey, go ahead, keep on talking.
Boy. So for people who do cultural weddings, are y'all hiring second shooters that have never done cultural weddings, or are y'all, it don't matter to you, a strong second shooter is a strong second shooter?
Dude, I mean, I ain't never shoot a cultural wedding, but I know if I shoot a cultural wedding, it's I'm gonna charge just as much as I'm charging for an American wedding, but I ain't never shoot one.
I don't think it matters if you just need to understand, or somebody, as far as like the certain cultural things that may happen, so long as you have those conversations and you know what to expect. Like some people, you can't, like a man can't be in there because the ladies are going to take off their hair wraps, right? So just certain things you just need to know, but shooting it, I think is the same.
Yeah, I think it's literally the same thing. As long as your lead shooter just explains like certain cultural things. Because I made a mistake recently of not explaining. I thought the second shooter would just understand, and there's like important details that they missed. But that was on my part because I didn't explain certain things.
Was that a Nigerian wedding, or was that like an Indian wedding or Hindu wedding?
It was a Nigerian wedding.
That may be something.
To kind of to add on that, I mean, there's certain things that I could have explained, but I also feel like as a second shooter, you should always just pay attention and kind of just discern that, okay, like this moment is important. Let me just capture that, right?
Right, Miguel. Like I said about common sense, right? There's some things you can't explain. You can't explain every little thing, right?
Yeah.
Miguel? There's some things that people should kind of know. And maybe we're being too much. I don't know. I don't know. Tell me.
Common sense is not common. Just remember that.
I don't know. Tell me.
Yeah,
Common sense is not common. Trust me on that.
Yeah, because in my head, I'm like, okay, maybe I should have explained. But at the same time, it's kind of like, if you just pay attention, you'll see that, okay, this may be an important moment. They're exchanging gifts, they're exchanging this, et cetera, et cetera. Let me just capture it, right? Like, I'm not saying to just shoot, just to shoot, but like pay attention and then just capture like important details. So, I mean, I kind of agree when she said that a strong shooter is good enough.
Miguel, there's a question in the chat. Can you explain things that were missed, or can you give an overview without getting too detailed? I don't know. There's a question in the chat for you.
Yeah, so things like so a lot of African countries usually exchange like gifts during ceremonies, such as like cola nuts, those type of things. Exchanging like wine, having somebody else drink it, you know, stuff like that. Headpieces, like the mom putting a headpiece on, with it, like certain things like that, right? That I think it would just make sense to capture. I don't know if that answers it.
Yep.
Yeah, I did an Ethiopian wedding, and it was really important one time for groom prep. Like, it was so important, just as important with the bride prep, because they did a dance, they did a song, they were at the house. So that Ethiopian wedding I did was like really important with groom prep. Like, I couldn't believe it. And I wasn't there for the groom prep. Second shooter was there, but it was really for cultural weddings. Those details are so important. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, now that I haven't did yet. The Ethiopian weddings, I haven't did those yet. And truth be told, that might be a conversation within itself, just on talking about cultural weddings and the cultural norms, to understand before even shooting one of them type weddings. So yeah. Does anybody else have any questions?
I have a question. This is Corlissa, by the way.
All right, Corlissa, what's up with you?
I was kind of late to the Zoom. My question for the primary shooters: do you guys attend the shoot? I can't even get it out. The rehearsal? Yes.
I never had, unless it's one unless I got quote unquote flued out.
I like to attend the rehearsals because I like to see exactly, because a lot of times when I do weddings, it's by myself. So I like to know what's going to happen next so I could already be positioned in that area.
That's definitely smart. I know for me, okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Nah, go ahead, bro.
No, all I was gonna say was, I usually before they walk down that aisle, in regards to like the bridesmaids and the groomsmen, I tell them off the rip, hey man, I know you're nervous, but don't walk down that aisle biting your lip, chewing gum, or just looking down. Like, I need y'all to look at each other, like look down the aisle, or like all that. Like, I need y'all to walk down smiling. Like,
sometimes they walk super fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have one more question. This is for Kelly or Sheen or whoever do the overlay, the not overlays.
The flat lay.
The flat lays. So do you guys have different color ring boxes and stuff to match the decoration or the color of the wedding, or you just use whatever color you have?
Yeah, I have a bunch of different ring boxes, and I always try to ask the bride beforehand, like on their intake form, what their colors are. So sometimes they have their own ring boxes that they want to use, but I always come prepared.
Okay, thank you.
Can I add about the rehearsal real quick? The one reason why I stopped going to rehearsal was when you start doing more weddings, and then once you commit yourself to that and you tell people like, yeah, I'm gonna be at your rehearsal and all of that, and then their rehearsal is on a Friday, but then you got a Friday wedding or something like that, it was just to be too much. So I started just getting my mindset to, I anticipate what's going to happen. Like you already know, like you learn the flow of weddings and all of that. And then if I want to go see like what the lighting situation is, that's why I just go a little early the day of the wedding instead of going to rehearsals and all of that.
Thank you. That's understandable.
Yep.
Hey, RJ.
Yes, sir.
I know I'm a little late to the party. Have we started talking about gear yet?
Nah, not yet.
I know like Rogers, and I was going to talk about gear tonight, and gear that, you know, I mean, I think that people who are second shooting should look at.
Yep. We'll maybe we're gonna go right into that. But before Austin and Rod talk about gear, does anybody else have any questions about second shooting weddings? Like right now would be the perfect time to ask. You got a whole lot of expertise on here, ranging from 5 years to about maybe about 15, 20 years. So like whether or not it's video or photo, second shooters, you got, I mean, sweet now forever, hold your peace.
So one thing, I don't know if you guys talked about it. I don't know if it goes into gear or goes into just general prep. But if you're second shooting, always make sure you ask whoever the lead is what kind of stuff you're going to be shooting and doing to ensure you have like the proper card that you're going to be doing, right? I think that's extremely important, especially like from a formatting standpoint. And, you know, a lot of people might overshoot, so you might need to call down as you're shooting. You know, I heard a lot of people talk about, you know, deleting photos as you go, but like that card is critical. I ran into like a small thing yesterday, not a big thing, but you know, it just made me think about today, talking about people with second shooting, because like saying like I didn't know or like oh my bad, you know, depending upon the wedding and what you're getting into, you know what I mean, is important. You know, that's why like dual card slot shooting, and you know, making sure like you either have new cards or cards that aren't like overly used, and you know, the difference between the V30 and the V60 card and how that comes into play, like is also important.
Yeah, definitely a great point. We had covered that earlier, because the question was asked whether or not we supply the cards or whether or not they bring their own cards, and we get the files afterwards, and it kind of feeds to the point too. It says like, go ahead, let somebody bring their own cards, because if they do have a rapid fire situation that they like to do, I mean, do that. But I mean, because I don't plan on giving you five 128 gig cards for you to rather shoot on, and I'm stuck with it. Like, nah. So yeah.
No, that's a great point. But I also think, you know, coming down to pricing, like however you're pricing second shooting, you know, that it automatically should be like to me, should automatically be an automatic, right? Like if you're lower on your pricing on second shooting, like I might give you a card. You know, if your number is higher, like I'm expecting you to have that gear and be able to do like some of the rapid shooting and stuff like that. Like I think, you know, that's extremely important with how you position and pace yourself. All it takes is one bad experience for somebody to say, yeah, you know what? I don't think you want to rock with that person.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you know what? I don't know how that slide didn't. The slide did make it. I'll make sure I send it. But I forgot to add. Also reminded me when he said what you said. Like once people start banging with you as a photographer, blah blah blah. Like if you can make sure that even as a second shooter, this goes for the primary shooter and the second shooter, but like make sure you carry like make sure you as the photographer carry a grooming kit, like because if you don't have that grooming kit on you and it still happen that right armpit creeps up on you out of the middle of nowhere.
Oh yes, sir.
And you don't have no and you don't have no rag.
Oh, you think it's funny? No, that's for real.
Hey,
I know.
that's
real, yo.
I'm telling you now, like no matter if it was an accident or not, you will forever be the funky armpit, stinking breath photographer.
Yeah, where is Kelly Finch at?
Right here. Because I will slam text Austin and RJ in a minute, like, y'all, it's getting real.
Yeah,
I'm here. Why is it in here?
Yeah, right. I'm telling you, like I mean, because we gotta be real. I mean, at the same time, like it's like, yo, if you feel them butt cheeks getting a little slippery or whatever, or start itching a little bit,
Come on.
Hey, it's real talk.
Can't get no fellowship in here.
RJ, they don't like this kind of talk. They don't like this kind of
No,
talk.
we can't get no fellowship in here.
Hey, if that's the situation,
What are we talking about? I missed it. Butt cheeks.
Make sure you got some lotion. Make sure you got some cologne. Make sure you got.
Just make sure you ain't musty.
Make sure you're clean. Yeah.
Just make sure your hygiene is in check.
Yeah,
get some baby powder. Get baby powder down.
I'm telling you,
how much y'all sweating?
It's nothing more embarrassing than your after breeze thinking like that after breeze ain't right. Not mine. All right, Kelly, I'm closing. All right, bid the Lord.
Wait, did we cover setting your camera's clock, syncing it with your
sync
yeah,
is gonna be a big thing.
Yes. Yeah.
That's
Think
good.
about that tonight.
I have to shuffle that in the slide deck. But yeah, Myra made me do this thing. I'm wearing as though he made me take a picture. He basically made me take a picture of what's it like? I think he made me take a picture of his cell phone clock or something like that.
Cell phone
clock.
Yeah, time.is. Yep, I do that too.
Yep.
Or time.gov.
Because that man, that's a bad feeling when you get a thousand some images and you can't figure out why the pictures is mixed up or whatever. Like, yeah, sync them cameras up, or whatever. If you got Photo Mechanic, use Photo Mechanic to fix them clock times or whatever.
But, okay, I got a quick question about the syncing and all of that, and I get it. But so sometimes you get the opposite headache when you are in two different areas, but they're synced. So now you're uploading and you got the formals or portrait shots going on, and then a detailed shots is all mixed in within that.
Repeat that again.
So to that point, Katrina, I will be the first one to say it. Like I have a clock that I have a camera that for whatever reason didn't get synced to daylight savings time. And it completely threw off because it's an hour ahead of time. Like it completely throws it off.
Yeah, because I'm just saying, like if our cameras are synced, and I get it because I do it, so I do know to do that. But I'm just saying, like when we're in two different spots at the same time, so now when you go to upload them, because they're synced by time, you're getting like details of a reception mixed all in with your formal portraits or whatever. How do you all feel about that?
So this is what I do with that. Like I'll load them and I'll tag and I'll name them something different. So I'll name them by camera. So if like I'm shooting with an A7 III and then an A7 IV, I'll say so and so's wedding A7 IV. So that way I can organize not only by time, but I can also organize by file name. And then let's say in your situation, if someone's doing detailed shots of the groom and you're doing detailed shots of the bride, but you just want to edit the bride right now, I can switch in Lightroom to organize by file name, do my edits on the bride, and then I'll do my edits on the groom. And then when I export, I'll reassociate by time, and then I'll have the timing correct. If that makes sense.
Are they all in one uploaded folder, or are you doing 2 different folders in Lightroom
So in Lightroom, I do it by date.
by day?
And then when I load it, I load each file card by, if it's off of the same camera, then I'll do consecutive, right? So, if I'm at, 3,658, then I'll start the next card from my camera at 3,659. But then my second, I would have a different file name and then do those consecutively.
Okay, that's smart. Okay.
Yep.
Hey, RJ, can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead. Hop in.
Hey, I just want to say what's up to everybody, and this was really, really a great learning tool for all of us people that's trying to get into the second shooting thing. I just want to say real quick to the second shooters and anybody aspiring to be a second shooter, you guys have to really, really open yourselves up to learn. And what I mean by that is sometimes in photography, I learned that you have to take 1 step back and take 2 steps forward. And what I mean by that is, I had already shot a couple weddings, maybe like 2 years ago or a year and a half ago. I had already shot a couple weddings, but then I saw that Chip had advertised that he was looking for somebody that just wanted to learn. I knew I had shot weddings before, but I knew weddings weren't really my strong. So I knew that's something I definitely needed to develop and get better with. So I took the opportunity to go with Chip, and I kind of, I worked the full wedding, a full 8-hour wedding, and I didn't make a dime for it. But I'm saying that to say, I had to humble myself and say, man, I want to work this wedding. I really want to learn. So doing that wedding with Chip, I learned so much stuff, you know what I'm saying? And he continued to, teach me different things, but it's just to say that if I would have let when I first got into the photography game, I thought that, I'm not picking up a camera unless I'm getting paid for it. Sometimes in this photography game, I'm learning that, the things that you learn from people that have been there before is there's no dollar sign on that. There's no price tag on that. Because some of that information that you learn from people going along the way is invaluable. So that's all I want to say.
John, you just hit it on the head, because that's actually how I kind of got started, like the same way, like with Chip or whatever, right? And it's like OGs in a game like him that drop more knowledge just like in off the cuff, that you can't worry about chasing the dollar. Like if you really like committed to this, money's gonna come. Like I'll be the first one to say, I've probably been in the game like heavy, maybe 3 years now. You know what I mean? And the money is going to flow, like if you stay persistent and consistent. But the knowledge and the accessible knowledge happens during these events, during the downtime. Like, yo, why'd you shoot it like this? Or why you have this? Like, when I first started shooting, I know gear is going to be coming up. All of my second shooting money, I would use to get either a piece of gear or something that like Chip had, right? And I joke, and I said this before in a post. My first wedding second shooting with Chip, I had ran out of my flash battery. Like I was just shooting. My flash battery went dead. And I'm like, damn, Chip, like, yo, is there an outlet, like somewhere I can charge this joint up real quick? He was like, yo, just grab a flash battery out my bag. And it was at that moment, I'm like, oh, shoot, like I need to have multiple batteries and multiple this. So like I grabbed that. And then he had another, like a lighting assistant, something he asked me like this to come through. And he had this thing called an ice light. So I was like, yo, what you use this for? And he was like, yo, use the ice light for the bride. Like if you don't want to get a flash, but you want a constant light, put up to their face to get like the detail shots. And it just, it looks good, especially like when you don't have a window. So I left that joint and got an ice light. Like the flat lay kits, like Kelly, I'm like, yo, Kelly, like what you got? Your flat lay kit. I started looking like the multiple ring boxes they talk about. So I went on Amazon, got like the flat lay boxes. Like that's where you're going to learn, how to get like the gear and the pieces, because there's rare times that I'm in a situation where I don't have something like to make it work. And, down to, I was at an event and I forgot my flash battery, but I had a 200 on me. And I'm like, yo, damn, like Kendrick shoots holding this 200 all the time and just with his trigger. So sure enough, I was able to put my 200 in my hand and shoot, and it looked just like I had a flash. So these second shooting events all the time are going to put you in these situations where you can shoot bright day, no light, some light, you know everything. So like that's really where you put yourself to the fire to prep. Like don't go in it looking like, oh, this person only paying X, Y, and Z, you know, so I'm not gonna do that. Like I'd rather just sit at home. Like, you know, after you get your reps, like maybe you might be able to do that. But like if you're really trying to get in the circle and really trying to, you know, make a name for yourself and get those reps so you can be ready in the situation, like you really need to reach out to people like, yo, like, do you need a lighting assistant? You know what I mean? Do you need a second? You need a third shooter? Like, tell me what you need. Like, how can I get around so I can get those reps in?
Yeah, it's funny that you hit on that about you went and shot for free, because I mean the only way you're gonna get better is by investing in yourself, whether it's investing money in yourself or investing your time. Either way you're investing. So there's nothing wrong with going to shoot somebody for free. I mean, as long as you're getting what you want out of it, which is knowledge.
That I'm telling, and to that, like it's it may not seem like it's gonna pay off, but I'm telling y'all, like, at first I thought I was gonna be solely an event shooter. Lie to you not, like years ago, and then randomly somehow or another I went to a wedding. I was like, yo, I want to know how this dude is lighting it. And it was David Stuck, and David Stuck was like, yo, I don't do no training, but there's a dude named Roy Cox, or whatever, and I started underneath Roy for like a whole year, doing solely portrait photography, and of course, and now, I mean, and now to that effect, like I'm kind of stuck in the studio a lot of times because of that. Because I gave him, I didn't get paid for it, but I took out the time, the gas money, to make sure to make sure I studied underneath Roy Cox for that year. But yeah.
Yeah, and RJ, what I want to say is that with John, when you're doing stuff, I'm gonna throw John and people that work like that referrals before anybody else. And ask John, he shoot a church for me. I'll throw him referrals. I'll throw work to him before anybody, just because I know he's good and I know he took the time to do stuff. I throw referrals to Austin, the people like who work all the time. So people like, oh, I ain't doing this. Okay, carry on. But I'm just saying that people will throw referrals to other people all the time that they know are good and who work. If you work with me, I work with you. And people like RJ, people like Austin, Kelly, they got mad referrals they can't do. We can't shoot everything. I have a referral right now on my phone. I'm giving it to Brad. I want to give it to somebody else. You know what I mean? Like, there's not a day that probably goes by that I don't give somebody a referral. Like, real talk. Every week I'm giving somebody some work. And I'm not bragging. I'm just telling you just where we are in life, because it can't shoot. And I don't want to shoot anything, a lot of stuff anymore. You know what I mean? So I'm being choice. And I'm not giving BS referrals either. These are pretty good referrals. So I just want to know, just make sure that when you're shooting stuff, you just never know what you'll get from it. I started the same way, like when somebody put me on. So somebody always puts somebody on, always. There's no self-made woman or man. You know what I mean? There's nobody that's self-made. We all came on the backs of somebody, So I came on the backs of this guy, and he just put me on and just kept on putting me on, until I was able to put myself on.
Yeah, and I know I'm also about to start this talk on gear, but if you don't get anything out of the day, let me say this: at the end of the day, if you're a second shooter, your job is to serve. Don't ever forget that. Like, there's nothing wrong with serving, but just make sure you serve and serve great. Don't get me wrong. Like, I definitely appreciate confidence, but at the same time, please do not assess your emotional. Don't get your emotional worth mixed up with your practical worth at the end of the day. So, like, if you're charging, make sure your charge makes sense. At the end of the day, if you need help or whatever, assessing that, let one of us know. I mean, truth be told, like, if I got time to meet up with you and go through and don't just show me your. I don't want to see your portfolio. Like, I want to see. Show me that entire wedding unedited, in that folder, uncalled, unedited, and I'll go through it and let me help and I'll help you assess what you should likely charge. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, don't look at tip rate and try to assess your rate.
Yes.
Don't look at my rate and assess my rate, because you'll be told there's likely a reason why I'm charging what I'm charging. Like, truth be told, like, some of y'all ain't driving the distance that I drive to get to where I got to get to. You know what I mean?
The
So it's like-
insurance. The insurance. I mean, that's a big thing.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you talking about second shooting, like, and this is not to be disrespectful to anybody, but unless you have liability insurance or errors and omissions and stuff, like, don't talk about $75, $100, $125 an hour. Like, and you can't protect me if I get jammed up on a gig, because I'm gonna definitely hit you up. Like, all right, like, put a claim in with your insurance company. You know, we got to make this bride and groom whole. Like, I don't want to hear like, oh, I ain't got that. What's that?
Oh, matter of fact, I'm glad you brought it up. Chip, there's a question that came to the table earlier. I don't know if you was on for that question, but the question was because I made the point that if something happens to the primary shooter, it's then up to the second shooter to step up to the primary shooting spot or whatever. So in that case, the person had asked, does the second shooter end up getting paid more because they're now the primary shooter?
So you mean like, so for instance, like I did a wedding, I was supposed to be a second shooter, but the primary shooter got COVID. So I got paid more because the primary shooter couldn't show up, right? So yeah, I got paid more. It was just, unless I'm doing a solid for somebody, you know? So if you're doing a solid for somebody, you know, it's like whatever. Like if you got COVID, I shoot for you. I'm like, all right, you know, I'll get you this time, but you'll just, you know, you'll hit me back next time.
You're going to need somebody, right? Like, I remember when COVID was rampant and Kelly hit me, was like, yo, like, I need you X, Y, Z. Boom, no questions asked. I'm there. Just tell me what I got to do. Boom, because, yo, it's going to come back around. Like, there's few things in life I can guarantee you on. Like, don't chase the money, because the bread's going to come back around, but you're going to need the relationship. Because trust and believe, I've been in situations like, yo, Kelly, I can't do X, Y, and Z. Can you blah, blah, blah for me? Cool. Don't worry about it. It's already done. It's taken care of. Like, don't be like, oh, yo, you charged, you know, $5,000 for a wedding. Yo, I should get X, Y, and Z. Like, don't count somebody else's pockets.
Well, that's an abundant mentality, Austin. So that's a good thing to have.
Like, if somebody puts you on and that's what it is, like, yo, but here's the same token. Like, if you feel like you're being taken advantage of, be like, yo, X, Y, and Z, like, yo, can we talk about this? Like, tell me what you're thinking on this. Like, just have a heart-to-heart conversation, but also don't ever go back. Once you accept some bread, and this is something I hate, like, it burns me up, and I'll tell RJ this in a minute. Like, don't say, like, yo, such and such is undercharging me, or such and such trying to play me on the bread. Like, yo, if you accept that bread, that bread, like, yo, that's between you and that person. Like, don't come back and say, like, somebody trying to play you. Like, yo, you took the money.
Yep. But I'm gonna let that be a segue for Austin to ease into his next part. But please remember, if you haven't seen already, Nate just well, either which way, don't forget that the conference is coming up November the 10th and 11th. It's going to be at Tulsa, Maryland. If you didn't already see, last night Nate dropped the drip and let it be known that Sophia Barrett is going to be one of the speakers that's coming. Also tonight he just made it known that LeJune King will be speaking at this year's conference, and for the rest of the week, Nate he'll be dropping the drip in regards to all the other speakers that's going to be at the conference. So if I was you, I definitely stay tuned to see who they're going to drop. If you want to, please, I need every single body that's on here. If you have a chance, make sure you go register today. Go register. Go register. Register.peculiarcollective.us. It's register register.peculiarcollective.us. All right. So please, if you haven't already got your ticket, please don't wait till I said this in the post yesterday. Please don't wait till the last minute to try to get your ticket. I mean, let's do this thing. Let's actually do this thing. Let's do this thing right, and let's register early because I mean, just for the planning perspective, I'm just being transparent. It's hard to plan when we don't have numbers, and I'm just gonna rub the back of my hand. Like, we're the last people to register, but we're the last ones to register, but yet the first people to complain or whatever. Rubs the back of my hand. Like, please register early or whatever, so we can actually plan this thing right. All right, Austin, it's in your hands.
All right, Rogers, you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, Rogers, you want to kick it off? You want me to kick it off?
You can go ahead and kick it off. I'll pick back off of some of the stuff you're talking about, but
all right, cool.
we kind of a little bit earlier.
So, and to everybody who has not second shot or you have questions, feel free to drop stuff in the chat. You know, I want to talk about this evening, you know what I mean, the importance of when you're second shooting, of being able to have the right gear. What does the right gear look like? You know, what should you be investing in, and things of that nature. So by show of hands, you know, you can put like a thumbs up or reaction. How many people in here have second shot under 5 weddings before? Like under 5 weddings. Oh wow, so everybody's over 5 weddings. All right, so this is, oh, we got a couple. Okay, we got a couple in here. All right, so with that being said, for the few people that are in here, you know, if you're starting off with a basic kit, the first thing that you should definitely invest in before a whole bunch of lenses and everything else like that is lighting, right? Because image can be made or broken without the proper lighting. When we talk about proper lighting, talking about on-camera flash, right? So, you know, and I'll pull it up. I would go on services website, but I will use Adorama to start. Here we go. So the first thing, Flashpoint. I personally, I like looking at Flashpoint gear. One of the things that RJ turned me on to earlier. RJ, can you enable sharing?
1 second, I got you. All right, you good.
All right, so one of the things that I personally like about Flashpoint stuff is, like, if you're ever in a situation where your flash stops working or, you know, something of that nature, Flashpoint actually has a great warranty setup and will accept your returns and things of that nature. So if we're just starting out, first flash I would actually look at is, it might be under Godox. It's a Godox VH60, but Flashpoint has a sister flash. You can go with the 2 or the 3. The main difference between the 2 and the 3 is that the 3 has a modeling light. So let me pull it up. So the 3 has a modeling light, and so for those of us who can see, and you don't necessarily get the kit has a whole bunch of other stuff. But see this modeling light right here? You know, depending upon the type of setup that you have or the situation, the modeling light comes in handy if you ever have to try to get like some quick video clips, or you're trying to do like a ring shot and you want to get some like glitz and glamour with the ring and be able to show. Or you need to put a grid on it with your Magmod kit. You know, this is a great flash to be able to have to build out. From there, the next thing that I would definitely invest in is a diffuser kit. So
Hey,
Magnum.
Austin,
Yep, go ahead.
I want to just chime in real quick. When you guys are shopping for like your equipment, like especially like flashes and stuff like that, budget for two. Like you should have two of everything. You never know when something just may malfunction, or you trip and fall at a wedding, or a client knocks something over. So when you're like buying everything, try to make sure you budget for two. So if that means you have to get the step down of something instead of getting the three, you get the two, and you can get two of them, then do that.
Oh, that's real. Because something will always happen, right? Like you trip and fall, these hot shoes on some of these flashes become loose. And if you had a wedding, you can't say like, oh, I forgot X, Y, and Z. So like I always look to try to grab two of whatever and just have one like as a backup. So this is something great to have. Next is the Mad Mod flash kit. So when you're looking at the flash kit, what it's made up of is one, it's a magnet. The magnet goes on top of the flash in this area right here, right? And from there, you can have different attachments that are then utilized to help shape and mold light, right? So first you have your diffuser here. Your diffuser is used to soften light. While you can typically try to bounce light off the ceiling or wherever you may be. Sometimes you might not have a ceiling to bounce it off of, so you just want the flash to be evenly distributed, and that's what this this diffuser is designed to do. Next, and this is something actually I throw away for the longest time until like I started seeing Brad and RJ using it. I'm like, yo, I don't need this. The grid can help direct light. So like if you have ring shots, detail shots, and you don't want the light to spill, you want it to go directly on a person, on an object, on a thing, you'll look to utilize that grid on top of the light, whichever which way you may need to point it. So if you have a flash, I would definitely recommend getting this flash starter kit. It's very much so needed. From there, the next thing I would look into purchasing is an AD200. Now, what I like to do is I go on Adorama pretty much every day or every other day to see like when they have stuff on like used or clearance. So like the AD200 is what it looks like. You can have this trigger and be able to be connected with your on-camera flash so you can spread light. So starting off with one, you can have your flash lighting everything in front of you, and then the back of the room, your on-camera flash will be able to be used. Not only can this be used for this, but like I use my AD200 for like headshot photography, branding photography, constantly. So it has multi-uses, but it really is used like as a fill. And you can utilize it in so many different ways. But as you're buying it, as Rogers has said, try to plan on purchasing a secondary battery as well. That's why like shopping in the used section on Adorama is so critical. And I'll look to see, we can look real quick. I'll show you guys what I'll do. I'll go in here in the used section. I'll go into Flashpoint. I'll click this. And then, you can start with newest. And then just go down and see, what you come across on a regular, right? All right, so once I have my lighting set up, I have enough lighting, I then will begin to look at what kind of lenses I should have, right? And in a wedding kit, if I'm just starting out, the first thing I would buy is a 35. Why? Because 35s are really good, like for your detail shots. You can get some personal portraits. It's close enough to a 50 if you need to get those portraits, but also wide enough so you can get a lot of the group shots and be able to move forward and backward from there. The next thing I would look to have, especially if I'm just starting off as a second shooter, is either a 70 to 180 or a 70 to 200. And the reason why is most photographers, if you're a lead, you're going to want to be up more close and personal, and you're going to have to be a sniper from the rear or the back of the room. So having that 70 to 200 is going to make you more in demand. because it's going to be a more difficult lens for people to have, and it'll help support the lead photographer and their needs. If you can't get a 70-200, then looking at a 24-70 will be most beneficial. And that's another very accommodating lens that you can use. It's great for situational photography with events and capturing, the room and things of that nature. If you're a Sony user, or I'm sure some of the secondary subpar camera companies have a Super 35 or a Crop 35 option that you can punch into, which will give you additional added range depending upon, what type of event you're shooting and room that you're shooting in. And then from there, you can begin to build out. I have a detail lens, and let me try to grab it. So the next two lenses I would definitely tell you to look at. One is a macro, but like you can get like a 70 macro. I like this 90 macro. It allows me to get ring shots, a lot of different detail shots, different perspective. And then you want a wide. This is probably one of my favorite lenses because I use it for other things other than weddings, but like a 16-35 f4 is great for like wide, those big wedding parties or big room reveals and things of that nature. That's a great lens to have. Questions so far before we continue to go on?
For everybody, I just placed in the chat 3 sites you can kind of like rent lenses from. I know some of us don't always have everything. So you can definitely go and rent a lens. Definitely nothing wrong with that, especially if like, say for example, you're not a prime shooter, but you want to try some primes out, you need to get a prime. Lens rentals, borrow lenses, and even Service Photo, they rent lenses as well too. So.
All right, so questions so far. Let me look at the chat, see where we at. Rogers, people commenting. Mountain Light is nice for the exit shots. Yep, true. All right, let's continue on. Next, all right, so I have my lighting down. I have my my basic lenses to get started. If I had to bring 3 lenses to a wedding, I'm going to bring like a 35. I'm going to bring like a 24-70 or a 70-180. And then I'm probably going to look to try to bring something super wide, like a 16-35 or something of that nature to get started. From there, the next most important thing are the cards, right? And we have this debate constantly at night about what kind of cards to look to purchase. Does everybody know the differences between cards? If not, I'll try to go over. I think I have a picture of car. I took a snapshot of something. Hold on, let's see if I have it in my full pictures. Okay. Then I saved it to talk about it here. This is if not, I can talk to. Oh, here it is. Yep, here it is. All right, so I'm not sure. Hold on 1 second. So
would you or the card, yep. Oh, that's good.
With cards, it's important to be able to read what a memory card is saying and what it can do, right? So at the top is the read speed and the write speed, right? So you got to think about it like your average camera. So I just shot a property, and the first image that I took in RAW was 46 0.5 megabytes, right? And as you guys can see, this card can read up to 280 megabits a second, but it can only write 150. So if I'm holding down the trigger or trying to snap fast, I'm pretty much going to hit my buffer after like 3 clicks or like 1 second of holding down on it, right? What does that mean when it hits the buffer? It means if a bride is coming down the aisle or something that's happening extremely fast happens, right? I should be able to capture those moments without having to worry about turning or whatever it may be. Some of the smaller cards, and I'll pull up a comparison in a second. Third is capacity, right? So capacity meaning, how many shots can you get done? Like 512, you should be able to capture everything, right? But for a wedding, I would not go under 128 gigs of space. Like you always want to make sure like you have enough space on your card for any situation if anything were to happen. Third is the format, SDXC, pretty much is like standard format when it comes to cameras and with photography. 5 is what version of the card it is. You want to go with version 2s or the 2 lines, as you guys can see right here. There are a lot of people having issues with the cards with the generation 1s or the first, so they were like splitting apart and coming apart. They seem to have rectified that with the version 2s. So you definitely want to make sure like you have version 2s like on your cards, and you guys can look at your actual cards now as like we're going through. The big thing is V60s. Like for me, like it really depends. Like if your photo, you can get away with V30s and not, face too many issues or things of that nature, because you don't, your spurts of having things are few and far in between. Where this starts to really come into focus and play is with video, right? So if you're shooting 4K, 60 frames a second because you need to slow something down, you need a V60 card. If you're shooting 4K, 24 frames a second, like the Sony A7 III, the max that you can get, I think, is like 30 frames a second on 4K. So you really don't need a V60 card because you can't maximize the capacity. But for a lot of the newer cards, you're going to need V60 cards to be able to handle that video speed and ensure that you have all the clips that are needed. Because what will happen is, even if you don't have that card, it'll look like it's recording, but then when you try to play it back, it won't be able to compute or handle that situation. So that's where that comes into play. Questions about cards?
Somebody put something in the chat.
All right, somebody put something in the chat. Let me hit this. Let's see what they say. I don't know the difference between CF Express and QXD. All right, so CF Express are the newer cars that originated, I believe, like Nikon was big in CF Express, the larger ones. Newer mirrorless cameras started looking at the CF Express Bs. Sony uses CF Express A's, and those are high capacity cards, meaning that they're designed to be able to switch from photo, video, maximize the video capacity, being able to handle like 4K, 8K video and things of that nature. This is the first time I've ever seen an XQD card. Is
So,
that
yeah.
looks like it's for Nikon?
Yeah, well, nah. So they it's the same form factor as the CF Express Type B. So CF Express Type B is just overall faster card, but it's the same form factor as XQD. So it fits in the same slot just as an XQD card. It's just much faster. So like I said, definitely for video cases, but also too, like if you have a high megapixel camera, and you want to be able to shoot continuously, having a faster card is going to help with that. Also too, later on at night when you're trying to upload everything, getting the information off of the card is much faster too. So it's same thing. I use CF Express now. Also they're much more sturdy. And you can find them. You can find XQD cards brand new now as well, but you can get a CF Express Type B card almost for the same price as XQD. So getting faster speed, the same amount of money, why not?
All right. Somebody said, not really. Can you explain some? Was that for the memory cards or something else? Whoever RP is.
There's two RPs in here. So
Well, somebody's like titled RP. I want to make sure I answer your question, RP.
All
right, you be right in the chat. Oh, Shop is what's happening. All right, so here's the next thing. So if you're second shooting a wedding, the third thing you need to be prepared to bring is a hyperdrive. So here, and these are like $20, $25. You know, you can have one with the dual slots. Like if you're a Mac user, if you're not a Mac user, you know, they have other ones like for USB-C or USB-A. And what this will do is this will allow you to upload or transfer the files from your card over to your primary shooter's card. I also travel with a portable like SD, a little hyperdrive. You can get these for like $30. You know, that way you just always back up your information at all times. And you can kind of like clear your card if you need to. You know, and just be able to have this like as a backup, you know, depending upon like how many cards you have. If you're shooting with somebody who's giving you a card, you can bring them and say, "Oh, let me just dump my stuff real quick." That way I can just play around with editing and just be able to grow and develop. So like this is another like great tool and thing to be able to have. Trying to think what else we look at. Talked about lighting. Talk about video lighting because I don't think a lot of people in your video. I can talk to those people like offhand, you know, if we need that. I know Willie wants to talk about video, so I'll try to grab a couple things. Batteries, you know, at a minimum, you should not be attending or second shooting a wedding without at least 4 fully charged batteries. Like sitting on my desk right now, charged are 7 batteries. My bag is full of, you know, other batteries. I probably have about 15 to 20 batteries because you just never know what situation you're going to be in. If your primary is going to need a battery, whatever. Like, so always have multiple camera batteries to be able to swap out and do whatever with, you know, batteries are very, very, very important. As you're looking to grow and develop, you know, Chip offered a great class. I think it was like him and Renee about 2 years ago, Chip. The Find the Beauty. So in the Find the Beauty, one of the things they had us look at is wedding like flat lay kit. So like if I have a wedding and I know like I'm gonna do flat lays, I have my flat lay kit. Inside of my flat lay kit, I have like ribbon, I have, you know, different color ring boxes, depending upon style ring. I have the little fake stamp. I have the little ring cups, like if I want to put, you know, the rings inside the little ring cup. Let's see if I can open this. You know, the little ring bowls, like I can put like the wedding ring inside the little ring bowls. What else? I have the risers, the little gel risers. So if you know that we have a flat lay, you know, you want stuff to be staggered. So I have different levels of risers that I can put underneath the things. I have bobby pins, you know, in case like somebody's like dress or something needs to be closed. I have bobby pins. I have little scissors that can go like on the flat lay. There's another ring box. I have the the little gum, the little glue stick too. Little glue stick. But basically, like if I needed to have my ring stay in place, have a little ring. I have a fake ring in here somewhere as well. Up here it is. So like when in doubt, like if for some reason if somebody doesn't have a ring, I have a fake gold ring, I have a fake silver wedding band, different sizes. I have a woman's wedding ring in here, wedding band. So like this little thing, like you're looking at the flat lays and you can practice, you know, time and time again. And then the other thing that you should look at investing in is a styling mat. You have some that are like super dope and expensive. You have others that are affordable. With the WPPI, Sheena, I don't think Sheena is on here. If she is on here, if Sheena encouraged me and walked me over to get a flat lace styling mat from this company. It's double-sided, but it's rather large that I can like lay all of like my client's stuff on there and have it looking clean and stuff like that, unless you know, there's a nice tabletop or stuff. So, you know, for me, if I'm looking to, especially depending upon the wedding, you know, I will hire somebody specifically for flat lays. Like Kelly, I think Kelly's still on here. Kelly and I have a wedding in October, and the client has already said like she wanted a flat lay. So I know Kelly is amazing on flat lays. So like I'll hire Kelly because I know she has that flat lay stuff. So that kind of stuff will, like, you know, set you apart as somebody who's looking, trying to, you know, get into that space and grow and be able to operate.
Flat lays, is that photography thing or the videographer? You do it as well.
Oh, video too. Oh yeah, no, like Nate captures flat lays perfectly on video. Yeah, like Nate will set up the shot. Brad sets up perfect flat lay shots. You know, I've seen Cecil's work. Cecil has set up, you know, great flat lay shots. But you know, like having that kind of detail, but the second part of that too is sometimes you can get a great flat lay shot with a flash. Sometimes you need a constant light. I guess you might as well. One of the things we had talked about last year, and a lot of people had grabbed them, were these ML60s. So, you know, if you're a photographer, even, you know, sometimes you might be in a situation where you can't utilize a flash for whatever reason. These ML60s are great to have. You know, it's not extremely big. Is my camera still on? You guys see?
Yeah, we can see you.
Yeah.
Right. These ML60s are great to have in that it provides a constant light. You can bounce it off of the ceiling, and then the whole room will be, you know, lit up, and then you can use your camera without flash to get like a more natural looking feel versus like flash where you're filling up the space. It's a quick burst, and sometimes, you know, you have like dark spots and things of that nature. It could be too harsh depending upon how close you are to somebody. You know, I would definitely tell you, look at your photo or video, look into these ML60s before, you know, you start to invest in some of the larger lights like the ML150, you know, the 200s and things of that nature. These ML60s are a great tool to have, you know, in your kit. And then you can shape light however you want to. You know, the ML60 kit comes with like this cone dome. And what this does is it concentrates the light more to make it be able to be stronger. But it provides 60 watts of lighting for you, which, like I said, it can make a room get filled real quick without being on full power. Yes, I'm saying ML60. So Godox makes the ML60. There are other companies that probably have, you know, comparable lights and things of that nature. But I, you know, between Flashpoint and Godox, you know, I like those as great starter. You know, from there you have like Westcott, which makes an amazing product. You have like Pro Photo, makes a great product. You know, it just depends upon your level. But to start off, like there's nothing wrong with Godot's, you know, products for what they offer and how they can benefit you.
Yeah, and Godot's ain't cheap stuff. Godot's ain't cheap stuff. I mean, it's not like cheaply made stuff. It's actually good stuff. I mean, if you're on the fly and on the go, and you got different terrains you got to hit, and you don't want your stuff to tear up if it fall, like go ahead and get you some Godot stuff.
Yeah,
because you're talking like a big price difference.
Yeah, and the big difference is for people is things like recycle time. You know, like Kiati's on here. Kiati, you know, I drank the Kool-Aid and purchased what's the brand Kiati always talks about?
Stellar Pro.
Stellar Pro.
Pro.
I sat there and I bought the Stellar Pros, and you know, it was dope. But I'm like, yo, for where I am right now, like I don't need $1,800 lights. So I end up taking them back and getting some, you know, some ML60s and some other stuff to call it a day. But like that's where you're going to see where you're spending more time, the recycle time, because in your flash there's a limit to how many shots you can take before you start to impact the recycle time, where you're going to have to do one of two things. One, you're going to have to turn off the flash and let it reset. That usually can take, you know, 5 to 10 seconds. Or two, you are going to start to get less even lighting, and it's not going to be as strong or as consistent, and that'll end up hurting you in the long run. So, you know, depending upon the type of shooter that you are, or the type of wedding that, you know, you're shooting or events, you know, that's where you start to look at the differences in the quality of a product that you may be using or utilizing.
Yeah, and if you I mean, if you're into shooting like dance or sports, or something, or anything with like super fast motion, those Stellar Pro lights is pretty dope. But I mean, now I think I mean, with the discount codes and all that, I mean, you definitely might get away with getting the Stellar Pro at like around like $700 or whatever. So
yeah, but with Stellar Pros, you probably need two, like for real.
Yeah. And like the good thing about, like, since we're talking about weddings, like I haven't shot weddings in a while, but like I came out of retirement to shoot a wedding last year, right? And I used 4 Stella like reflex S's for my receptions. And the cool thing about that is we talked about, as we were talking about second shooters and like having to require them to have lights. I didn't require my second shooter to have a light. I gave him a trigger. And because of the quick recycle time, I didn't worry about my second shooter stealing my light. So, so I only had 1 light set up, like 4, like, and you can, like RJ talked about earlier, he has 2 lights set up for the dance floor, but I typically have 4 lights, you know, and I have them on all 4 corners. And, you know, I could have my trigger and my second could have a trigger as well. And they're all keyed into 1 lighting, you know, system. And because of the fast recycle time, I'm firing lights, they're firing lights, and you never steal each other's lights. So that's one advantage of it. But that's really more so, I would say, for a primary to make that investment versus a secondary to make that investment.
Yeah, true. Yep.
Yeah, but like you know, that's where you start to, you know, see the big investment difference, you know, when you're looking at like recycle time and things of that nature. Most weddings aren't going to call for that, you know, but sometimes, like if you're in like at least cultural weddings, right? So like last night I shot a Jamaican wedding, and big partying, big dancing, you know, on the fly, big emotion and stuff like that. So sometimes like I had to end up shooting fast or whatever. Like that's where like a Stellar Pro thing will come into play.
The other good thing is like it'll dub as a constant light as well.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's critical.
Right. So like, so instead of having like, you know, your Godot set and then your constant light set and, you know, having to run and gun and everything, like if you're running and gunning, I can stick my 1 reflex on and keep that on me with me. And then as I'm doing certain shots, whether it's ring shots, detailed shots, you know, if you wanted to light up the back of a bride while they're getting their hairspray done, all that stuff. You could have that really quick light there, and then take that light and set it up as one of your key lights for the reception, and it's just less gear to carry with you.
And Stellar Pro allows you to use other triggers as well, right? Like Godox triggers.
Yeah, so that's the other thing is like you can mix and match, right? So when I first started, I only had one Stellar Pro, and then I had my 8200s. So I had my two 8200s, my 600, and the Stellar Pro, and I mixed and match. And then as I got more Stellar lights, I took away, my Godox, and then but they'll fire off of was it Elinchrom, Pro Photo, and Godox. So if you already have a Pro Photo kit and you're looking for something a little bit lighter, then you can mix and match when you're in studio. But then when you're on the road, and then you don't have to actually buy a separate trigger for it.
No, that's facts. That's important. All right, so we talked about flash, talked about memory, we talked about lighting, talked about lenses, light stands. So with light stands, there's different kinds of light stands. This is something that Flashpoint sends when you buy certain light stands. I would definitely tell you at a minimum to purchase an air cushioned heavy duty light stand. What the air cushion will do is it'll make sure that your fingers don't get pinched when you're trying to collapse it. I remember I shot something with RJ and I didn't have the air cushion joints and it pinched my hand. And that's a feeling like you'll never forget. And he says like, "Oh yeah, you don't have the air cushion." He's like, "Oh yeah, Doc, you need the air cushion joints." So definitely want to make sure you invest in those, and those are like $30 a piece, like to start. And then depending upon as you're building out, you can get the like he has the ones that stack together and snap together that are magnetic, and those are good for like being compact and transporting. So you can begin to look at those type of setups as well. RJ, should we talk about like software stuff too?
No, I mean, definitely feel free.
All right,
That's fine.
Software. Do we want to? Oh yeah, the air cushion will toughen you up real quick. I'm telling you. Pocket LED lights. Yep. So inside my bag, have the pocket LED. Sometimes if you're looking just for constant light, you can have your pocket LED to be able to turn on. It gets pretty bright. Be able to do like ring shots and different things. Be able to use and utilize there. If you're looking at what's on my desk, if you're a videographer, you definitely want lav mics. You want to invest in lav mics that do internal recording. You have the Rode 2s or the DJIs do internal recording. But software, how many people like to hear about software? I just want to make sure. I know it's getting late and I don't want to keep everybody up too late, but how many people want to hear about software? See a couple people. All right, so for software, here's some top programs that I personally invest in and make my job easier as a not just second shooter, but somebody who may turn into like a primary. So starting off, what's on here? Nothing on this page. So I guess I'll start here. All right, so Topaz Video AI. Like if you ever shoot something and you're trying to like upscale it, like make it like have more detail and things of that nature. Like the wedding I was telling you yesterday, where it was used on a V30 card, it may not have had enough like frames per second. I'm gonna try to see if I can save it with this. So the Topaz AI is great for that. Denoise AI, before Lightroom came out with the new denoiser that's really good, I would use Topaz Denoise AI. That would take a image that was really noisy and give it a whole lot of detail, so it doesn't look noisy at all. Gigapixel AI, so an image that maybe a shot on lower gigapixel, but somebody wants to blow it up to use like for like the wedding portraits and things of that nature, I would use Gigapixel AI. Aftershoot, absolutely love Aftershoot. What Aftershoot does is it helps me to cull images extremely fast. I have Aftershoot Pro, which allows me to also edit my wedding images fast. I'll try to jump back into that. Sharpen AI, like if I want to sharpen an image, I love Sharpen AI for that. DNG converter. Go ahead.
And JPEG Mini's clutch.
Oh shoot! I jumped over here. JPEG Mini. So, if you ever are trying to save space, JPEG Mini will take your JPEGs and make them smaller. Shoot, and I skipped over this stuff. Rawlsy. RJ had me going to Rawlsy, right? So you second shoot a wedding, you may not edit everything, but you know, let's say you do, everything is done. You can run the gallery through Rawlsy. Rawlsy will take your raw images and condense it down. How good is Rawlsy? Rawlsy was going to take all of my raw images that I still had from last year and save me about 2 or 3 terabytes worth of space. Like it's sick and how much space they can save. Photo Mechanic. Photo Mechanic allows you to rename images, add metadata to images, add descriptors and things of that nature. I'm big on that now and adding metadata. You know, to help with my SEO and how I'm titling images. So that's helpful for me.
It also changed date and time too.
Yeah, you can change date and time. So like, you know, Kelly talked about like auto syncing like images and having match up for time. So that's good.
If your second shooter forgot to change their clock, or if you forgot to remind them.
Correct.
Yeah, if you forgot to change the clock, you can have it sync up to wherever it is. Imagine AI. So if I'm trying to edit an image or edit my gallery, I'll use Imagine AI as a cheat code. If somebody needs, actually, you know what? Matter of fact, let's keep the party going. Hold on 1 second. Go ahead and pull a BJ real quick and drop the link into the chat. If you are in need of some credits, I think it gives you like the first like 5,000 like images free or something like that. So feel free to use
Austin, a question was asked about subscriptions. Are these subscription or
so let me go back. So what's a subscription? Rawlsy subscription is like $80 a year. Photo Mechanic, I believe, is a one-time purchase. All of these are one-time purchases, and I would look at those like during Black Friday. That's when I got these. It was like a crazy deal. Aftershoot is a yearly subscription, but it's for me, because I shoot a lot, it pays for itself. Imagine AI will edit your images for 5 cents an image. So, you know, if you look at, you know, for every 100 images, it's only going to cost you $5. That's, you know, very helpful, you know, especially if you're trying to do like a quick turn and burn. Beauty Retouch, that's just the retouching panel, and RJ has an amazing retouching class. Definitely tap in with him if you're trying to learn how to retouch. Retouching panel will help the process because it has Photoshop actions to help speed up the process. I think those are all my paid things that I do have. Yeah, that's everything.
If you do video, it's free. It's Handbrake. It compresses the files for you.
Handbrake. Definitely would recommend Handbrake for that reason. If you're somebody who's trying to send your clients videos, I subscribe to WeTransfer. WeTransfer allows me to send large files of videos to somebody to be able to download, and then it times how long they have to download it. That's important because it puts the onus back on the client. and I write into the contract or whatever saying, hey, like you have 3 weeks, 4 weeks to download it. If you don't, then it's going to be additional fee because I have to re-download it, pull up my drive, and blah blah blah. Google Drive, you definitely want a Google Drive subscription. If you're starting to make money, you definitely want to get a Google email. It's cheap. Google email or domain is only like $12 a year, so definitely invest in a domain. But the Google Suite is only $60 for the year, but it gives you access to a lot of different things that you may use and utilize. After shoot have monthly for culling only. That I don't know. I just pay for the yearly subscription and just knock it out. Like I said, so
Yeah,
for the
they
time
do.
that
I was just saying it. They
oh, they
do.
do? Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what you're gonna save time wise, and it will save you tremendously. Like I'll pull this up so people can probably see. Because after shoot will give you the stats on what you're saving. Yeah. So like for me, after shoot has saved me 20 days worth of stuff, and I just got it last year. So it'll take a whole gallery, like a wedding or whatever, and bust it down so that I get more limited images, and then it will allow me to edit. Depending upon the editing style that I want to use, I can either use my pre-made presets, or I can use Imagen AI presets if I want to give a different feel or vibe for the wedding. But from a culling standpoint, like this only took 6 minutes to cull. This is longer. This took 16 minutes. Wedding yesterday took about an hour to go through. It actually was less. Oh no, it says time saved. I'm sorry, this saved an hour worth of my time. Probably took like 10 minutes to cull through everything. It's about 1,800 images. But it'll definitely save you time, and saving time saves money. Because my wife likes to watch Grey's Anatomy, so I might sit here, let it cull something, let it do its thing, and then I can go leave the room and have it do everything I needed to do, and then come back and make a little small local adjustments as well. But questions that people have.
How much is WeTransfer, the pro version?
WeTransfer, I think it's like $100 a year.
Is WeTransfer actually faster than Google Drive?
So here's the thing with Google Drive. Google Drive, you gotta leave it on there. WeTransfer wipes it once it's done, right?
Yeah.
So like, and then you can see how many times somebody's downloaded it. So a client says, "Oh, I didn't get it" or whatever. Like, "Oh yeah, you did. You got it on this date at this time," but it'll wipe it. So like, if I set it to 2 weeks, it's going off of my cloud in 2 weeks. So I did my part. Whereas Google Drive, like I have a client right now that said, "Oh, I never downloaded the wedding video." Oh no, it's a party video. I never downloaded the party video. Can you put it back up there? So now I gotta sit here, put it back up here, wait for it to go through all the motions and blah blah blah. Sit here and wonder if the person's gonna download it. If they're not gonna download it, then I gotta send them reminders. WeTransfer, I don't gotta worry about it. It says like, "Hey, here's your image." It sends them reminders to download it within, so much time. And then you can have it coded and say, hey, like if you don't download it by a certain date or time, like you're going to have to pay for it.
What's the difference between a paid WeTransfer and a regular WeTransfer?
The size. So that's a great. So like if you're somebody who's not doing a lot of volume, then the free WeTransfer will probably be good for you, right? Like, but if you're somebody who's doing like gigs all the time, you're sending videos to editors or sending videos to clients, like you might as well just subscribe to the paid.
Yeah, the free version WeTransfer, you can send up to 2 gigabytes of data at a time. With the paid version, you can send up to whatever you want.
Yeah, it's almost unlimited. It's like 100 gigs like per per center. Questions? No bad questions.
That's dope.
Shad, what questions you got?
How do you back up?
How do I back up? So I back up to, I have 2 external hard drives that I back up to. I still need to look at, BJ has said a minute ago, it's like an online joint that he uses and gives like a limited space. I need to look and see what that was again.
Hey, what is the name of that joint?
Backblaze.
Backblaze, that's it, Backblaze.
Backblaze. You can do Backblaze. I have a NAS server sitting in the house here. So I have my externals that I work from. And I back up to like 2 other externals and I put them in a safe. And then I have like it's like a network server basically that sits in the house. It has like 96 terabytes, so all 5 drives they copy to each other. And I can access it pretty much from anywhere. So I can access it from the house, or I can be out somewhere and I can log into it and then back up right to that.
Only thing about Backblaze is that the drives have to be connected to your computer so often. You can't just say put it off and leave it forever.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing with Backblaze. They do have to stay connected. I mean, personally, I would go with a NAS system if you want to spend that much money.
I use a NAS system for everything delivered, but I have everything that I'm working on Backblaze because I'm only guaranteeing until I deliver.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. Like, you know, I'm a condenser with Rosie. Wait until it's delivered. Wait 6 months and probably just wipe it anyway. You know what I mean? Because everything will be like on my Pixie set, like with the gallery that I'm delivering.
Right.
Doesn't Backblaze save all your files every time you reconnect your hard drives though?
Yes.
You just reconnect it and then you click backup.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, it does that.
Depending on how big it is, you have to order a drive from them, and it's like $200, but you get it back if you send the drive back.
Yeah. If you yeah, I mean it does do that, but if you do like a NAS system though, like all 5, like say for example, like mine has 5 drives, so each one of those drives they copy to each other. So like if the drive was to fail, I just take that drive out, put a new drive in. The other 4 drives are still gonna have everything on it, but then when I put that new drive in, everything is gonna copy back to that new drive that I put in.
Yeah, I'm doing the same thing, Rogers.
So it's a continuous thing. For that you don't have to worry about pretty much just drop everything.
So what do you do for your cloud storage?
Yeah, same thing. Yep. I use Rosie as well. So pretty much any like whatever I'm actually gonna use and like edit, that's the only thing that I keep. Everything else, I don't keep it. So like I use Aftershoot. So whatever Aftershoot calls, and once I go through it and like cool, I'm happy with that. That's all that gets saved. And I go send it through Rosie, it compresses it, and then I put it on the drive. So I have a drive for finished stuff, and then I have a drive for unfinished stuff that I put in the safe as well. And then I still put it on the NAS server.
You saying NAS?
Yeah, I also have a NAS system. But like, God forbid, like there was a fire in the house and you know it basically burns down everything.
That's why I have the safe though, right? So I have a fireproof safe. So that's
okay, all right, cool.
So like I said, I have my working hard drives, and then when I get finished, whatever I need to do, I'll put everything on those the extra externals, and then I stick them in the safe. And that's part of my backup process. Literally, when I come in, put stuff on there, put them back in the safe. When I finish a project, I put it on a finished drive, put it in the safe.
Okay, I might invest in the safe.
Oh yeah. I think everybody should have some type of fireproof safe in their house, right? For just documents and stuff like that too, passports, all that other stuff that you want to keep locked up. Like, I think everybody should have a safe in their house at some point. Nothing to be super big, just something small enough to fit some stuff in your externals. But that's another thing too. That's a part of the like what I was saying earlier with like having insurance and stuff like that. If you lose files, your insurance company, they're gonna ask you, okay, hey, did you have a proper backup system? If you don't, we're not paying out. That's on you. Is there anything you want to add, Austin? Anything I forgot with that?
No, I mean that's pretty much it. I was trying to see if anybody else had questions about stuff.
No, I mean, I think question wise, I think I'm good. But let's go down the list. Miss Angie, you got any questions?
Oh, y'all got me. I shouldn't even be shooting. What are you talking about? Hard crowd.
Oh my God.
Hey, man.
I mean, as always, if people have questions, they can always hit us up. I always like talking about gear.
Someone said best cameras. We're not gonna start that tonight.
Yeah, we're not talking that tonight.
Oh.
We got no best cameras. Talk to us
If you-
offline.
I mean, Sony's hot shoes always breaking, so we can't even talk about them right now.
Oh, that's
Actually,
false. That's false.
very
Sony hot
false.
shoe does not break like Canon's do.
It's actually not the Sony hot shoe that's breaking. It's
Thank
actually
you.
the foot. It's the foot of the Godox flashes that are breaking. How about that? God bless you. Put that in your training packet, please. Oh, I would also recommend on that gear list, make sure you put like shoot-through umbrellas on that list, because like that's
Shoot-through umbrella, yes sir.
that like, yeah. After I put Sharice on to them shoot-through umbrellas, I was like, I make sure I put it on my list of things to have in the thing. So, and because I put Sharice onto that, she's been on Ebony and Essence magazine since. So, cough cough.
RJ, what? See, I'm on a phone call,
He said-
right? And I turned the volume down. I just heard Sharice what?
He said, "Where are my royalties?"
Right, pretty much. No, Sharice, I was telling him about how I put you onto umbrellas, shoot-through umbrellas. And
You mean you was lying to the people?
If y'all don't know who Sharice is, she has houses in multiple countries, and she studied underneath of Derek Blanks for a few years. So she definitely has expertise all across, ranging from doing weddings in the U.S., doing weddings in St. Croix, and not only that, but she also shot.
Okay.
She also shot my ex-girlfriend named Jessica Rabbit. So yeah, that's it. Let's see who else we got on here.
Don't pay him no mind, y'all. Oh, Leslie, I'm from St. Croix.
Let's see. Abnett, Ina, Ivy, Javon, Kendrick, Uncle Lee, Leslie.
Nate,
Nicole.
did you talk about what I wanted to say? Because I had to go to a dinner.
Yep, we did.
Okay. Good.
Mhm. Yep.
And then what size shoot-through umbrellas are y'all taking? The small ones, or do you take the big ones?
Whichever one costs $15.
No, I'll send it to you.
Which one? Is it the bigger one, Sharice, that you use?
I don't remember what size it is. It's
I know
not
I
the
use
biggest one.
I use the 41. That's what I use.
No, I think the one I use is smaller. I'll find it.
Yeah, but they definitely clutch. Like for some, like especially if you're doing portraits, like you ain't got to worry about setting up a big old soft box and all that kind of jazz. Like
Yeah, it's just quicker and easier to set up than trying to do a whole softbox. At least for me, anyway.
Yep.
Okay, I came in a little bit late, but did you touch on owning the timeline and how to learn about how to own the timeline?
Oh no, definitely hit on it, and I'll make sure I put it in my notes. For the slide deck.
So like, I like in my previous life, I was doing a lot of consulting and project management. So like that's kind of ingrained with me. So as a photographer, especially if you're doing the whole wedding, you're the only vendor that's with them from beginning to end. So hair and makeup come and go, the maitre d' and all that stuff kind of come and go towards the end of reception. DJs at the end of reception, the pastors right in the middle. So, but you're the only one that's there the whole time. So what I usually typically do with my bride and grooms is I'll set up the timeline for the day, and then I'll give it to them, because that way I know when I need to come in, and I know when certain things are important, so I can plan out my day. And then, once they give it to the wedding coordinator, or once they give it to the DJ or the pastor or whatever, they can tweak it, 15 minutes here, 30 minutes there. But you want to make sure that you have time coming in to get the detail shots. You want to make sure you have time to get the bridal getting ready pictures and the groom getting ready pictures. And then if they're not doing a traditional first look, and then so that way you want to make sure you have time to get the first look shots and the bridal portraits and the groom portraits and all that stuff beforehand. And you can control that, and you can advise the bride, as her key advisor, of how much time you need, so that way you're not getting compressed, to make sure you get your shots. And then and most brides, like typically, and that's all in the beginning, right? So as a second coming in, it's good to kind of learn that flow, because if you're ever getting to a point where you want to be a primary, by the time you're primary, then you should be able to know that flow, know that schedule, and help dictate what the schedule is to ensure that you're getting the shots that you need to get. And certain things where like the bride's coming to you because you're putting on your website certain types of shots, like if you're putting on these epic night shots and things of that sort, just let her know. It's like, I need to bump you out of reception for 15-20 minutes just to get these shots. And you put that in the schedule, and then if she's having too much fun or she's getting her drink on, then let her decide that she doesn't want those shots. But you've already planned for it, and if she decides to not get those shots, then that's okay. That's on her, right? But like whatever conversation she's had with you, I was thinking, okay, these are the shots that I want. These are the shots that are important to me. That's why you want to control the schedule. And in most cases, the DJs are actually really appreciative of the fact of knowing that, oh, well, they're doing bouquet toss at this point. They're doing cake toss at, cake cutting at this point. That way they can set up their sets for the night and pre-program their sets as well.
Yep.
So Kiara, do you do that regardless if they have a planner or not, or do you only?
I do it regardless if they have a planner, and I typically will send it to them, and then the planner may or may adjust it or may have their own. But then what I'll do is I already have my key points already keyed in. So I'll either have them weave their plan into my schedule, or I'll weave my schedule into their plan. But for me, I just want to know, like, if I need an hour and a half for portraits because I want to get like specific things done and not feel rushed, then we kind of back into it, right? So I'll go to Brian Grimm, is like, okay, this is what I need. And if you're coming to me to get these photos, then that's what I'd like to have, just so that way because you factor in, travel time, things of that sort. Like I had one bride that basically told her driver, take me wherever I want to go around the city, because she wants those key shots. And I just told her, it's like, well, if we're going to do that, then you need to be out of hair and makeup by this time, so that way we can get these shots and then get you to the aisle. And she's like, all right, done. So a lot of it is communication, right? Just making sure that you're communicating. But as a second coming into it, because the focus today is on seconds, is be mindful of your primary's timeline. and learn from that. And then that's really where you're going to get the good experience of how you can build your own timeline. That's all I got.
Truth. That was good. Definitely good. Let me see who else we got on the list. Make sure everybody's covered. Hold on. Ivy, Javon, Kendrick, Uncle Lee, Leslie, Nick, Randy, Ruby, Sharon. Trinae's on here. Did any of y'all got any questions? Just want to make sure.
No, I'm good, thanks.
I'm good too.